Yo, welcome to Player's Choice, very on the panel. I'm here with, some of the good guys. Some of y'all might view as bad guys. Good hosts, bad hosts, good panelists, bad panelists. What's going on, fellas? How we living today?
In effect. Mars Blackman in the house. What up, Mars? Dub C.
What's up?
Big Ox.
I think Dub is frozen. Oh, Dub.
There he is.
Yeah, definitely frozen.
Dub, what you want over there?
Do you guys hear me at least?
You hot?
Yeah. I would get you.
Am I still frozen?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely frozen.
Fellas, so I missed a good portion of the show yesterday, and I wanted to know what I actually missed, or did I miss anything?
Mars and I went at it about a question was asked, and Mars got the best of me when we talked about the 2012 Miami Heat versus the 2017 Warriors.
He didn't get the best of you. I was up here with you, Chill.
And I would have liked to have, but Mars made some really good points. I mean, the point he made about the rim protection, that was a right cross to the chin piece. That was definitely a right cross. I would like to have rebuttal to that, but you can get the best of somebody in practice one day, and that's basically what happened. I got no problem with that. You ain't gonna kick an ass every day. But Mars brought up some really good points yesterday. We talked about the 2012 Miami Heat versus the 2017 Warriors, which I thought was interesting, Mars, because it was almost a trap question. Because if you notice, was that not the best team that Steph Curry played on? Only except it was up against, that wasn't the best team James played on. And when I thought about it, it was almost a trap question later on. But it was too late.
I don't know why the
already
question was 2012. I can't remember how we got with 2012 instead of 2013. I don't know why 2012 was the question.
The reason why 2012 was the question, Mars, is because that was James's best year. So if we're talking about James's best year, as opposed that team matches up a lot better with the 2017 Warriors, as opposed to 2012, who again they had some mishaps in the playoffs. Not only did they have mishaps in the playoffs, it wasn't their best team. It wasn't the best team that James was on. Meanwhile, that 2017 Warriors team, that was the best team KD had ever been on. That was the best team. That was the best team that Steph Curry had ever been on. And I just thought it was interesting that those two teams was matched up.
Wait, so you was caping for the 2012 Miami Heat?
What you got going on in the back, Dub? Is that you?
Do you hear? What's back there? I don't know.
I think you're hot now. Yeah, I think you're good.
Dub, it's best if you go without your camera because your audio is behind your imagery. You're welcome. I told you this time.
How about now? Looks better?
Now your camera's just off, so yeah, it looks better for everyone.
It sound better? It sound good?
Yeah, you sound fine.
What I wanted to say is you was caping for the 2012 Heat?
I thought it would be a good matchup. And
he wasn't caping, he picked them. He said in 7 games. It was
I thought it would be a good matchup. And like guys like Fluent, they had him just mopping them out the playoffs. And I was like, wait a minute. I don't think that they would mop them out the playoffs. Mars brought up a really good point about rim protection. And what my rebuttal what I wanted to rebut was when I talked about perimeter defense and them crowding the 3-point line and the fact that they had 3 all league defenders in with James, Dwayne Wade, and Shane Battier. I'd like to think that those guys who were vets at that point were a lot smarter. Not only were they smarter, we've seen Steph Curry, we've seen Klay Thompson go 12 for 36 in a game 7. So they can be contained at the long ball line. And the idea that those 3 guys were just going to let Curry, we're going to let Klay Thompson, who isn't very good with the basketball when he's got pressure, like Dwayne Wade would have put on him, like James would have put on him, just blow by those guys. I just didn't think the rim protection would have been that would have been that vital. But that was a really good point that you made, and I wanted to rebut with that.
Did you bring up how KD in 2012 was cooking the Miami Heat's defense? So I can only imagine what him and Steph would do paired up next to each other.
I mean, Dub, that's kind of an obvious though. Like KD in 2012 is cooking. It's no defense that's going to stop KD in 2012, let alone KD in 2018, let alone KD in 2022.
It's
so
KD
it's like
there is defense in 2022 that can slow him down, but that's neither here nor there.
I get that, but it's like that's kind of stating the obvious.
It's KD and Steph. That's the thing, and their defense, I think, and what Mars was bringing up with Dre and they had JaVale and Zaza at that time? Or
yeah, Zaza was there. Yeah.
Like they were still a good, versatile defense that could rim protect. So I don't think Miami Heat is going to favor well against guys where, who could shoot over them, who could get hot very fast. They never faced a team with like that high powered of an offense before. So the last time when they did go up against that team, they got killed by the San Antonio Spurs.
They did get killed by the San Antonio Spurs, but San Antonio Spurs, that offense was completely different. Like you're talking about a Golden State Warriors team who, don't get me wrong, the ball moved, but they didn't have the offensive players that the Warriors had. They didn't have Steph. Kawhi Leonard was still coming in. Kawhi Leonard was still becoming a great offensive player. He wasn't a great offensive player yet. Tim Duncan was on the other side of what he was, so he wasn't a great offensive player. It was more the system and how that basketball moved, not just how the basketball moved, how they sped the game up. Now, when you're talking about the Golden State Warriors, now we're talking about a team where, sure, the offense is great. Sure, Kevin Durant is fantastic. I think he averaged 30 and 10 in that finals in 2012. But when you're talking about perimeter defenders like Shane Battier, who was in his prime at that point, Dwayne Wade, who was still in his prime, LeBron James, who was in his prime, my stance is that I feel like they would have been able to keep these guys in front of them more than anything. I don't think it would have just been a wash like everybody thinks it would have been.
Battier was in his prime. He retired in 2014.
Who is that?
Battier.
But he still was awesome as a defender.
I thought he was still a good defender for sure. But
yeah, he still was awesome as a defender.
Prime,
okay, we'll take the prime off the table. I apologize. Dwayne Wade, however, was on the other side of his prime, and James was still in his prime. So with that being said, I'm just having a difficult time with the logic that they would just blow these guys away in terms of just getting to the rim. Because I'd like to think that as a perimeter defensive guy, I watched LeBron James slow down Derrick Rose and keep Derrick Rose in front of him in the Eastern Conference Championship. And I feel like if he could do that with Derrick Rose, he could do that with anybody. And I don't think teams would.
The difference is the thing that LeBron does benefit from, and that happened with like at times with Jimmy Butler in the finals. If he has a guy that is mainly dependent on getting to the rim, then he could defend him more properly. When he has a guy where he has to respect their three ball at a high level, that's where the quickness of the offensive players, they could start taking advantage of that. So a guy like Curry will sit here and be able to take advantage of that because if he have to respect that three ball, And the reason why I brought up the Spurs offense is not because I want to be like compare the offense together, but when they did go up against a high powered like offensive unit that shot the three ball well, it was very bad for us. Like it was terrible how they was doing us. Pause. So it's like I think 6, sure, but I don't even think we can get it to 7, man. I don't.
So Dub, you got the 2018 Warriors against the 2013 Heat in 6 games.
Ron, why do you keep saying 2018 instead of 2017?
We're talking about 17. But Ron's talking about.
My thing is, what is the difference in the team?
It's the same team.
One played better. That's the difference.
No, they played the same team. No, they played better against worse competition. They played better against worse competition.
In the regular season, the 2017 team played better as well.
17 was better than 18, just like 13 was better, just like the 12, the 13. Like
when we talk about the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, yes, 02 was probably the same as 01, but we talk about the 01 Lakers because that was the best version of that team. Like with Golden State, it's 2017 that we should be talking about, not 2018.
Okay, well,
can we talk about the 13
I'm
Heat?
talking about the iteration of the team.
I agree. We should talk about the 13 Heat as well because they're better than the 2012 Heat.
And just for a disclaimer, yesterday when I was arguing this whole thing, I was arguing with the 2013 Heat, and I said it multiple times yesterday. I don't know if you guys heard me or not, but every argument I was making was surrounded around that 2013 team. I was not arguing the 2012 team.
Well, again, he brought up the 2012 Heat because it wasn't a fair advantage. He wanted it to be more of an advantage toward Kevin Durant and basically to discredit James. Because if he wasn't, then he would have brought up the 2013 Heat to make it more of an even matchup.
Oh yeah, it was a super chat, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes. Mm-hmm.
No, I remember.
Because what you don't want to do, Mars, is I'm not gonna put the 93 Bulls up against the 87 Lakers. I'd put the 92 Bulls up against the 87 Lakers. I'm not going to put the 86 Celtics up against, I don't know, the 2002 Lakers. I want to put them up against the 2001 Lakers. Exactly. The best version of them. I don't want to do that because if I'm doing that, then I'm trying to discredit somebody immediately when I do that.
I assume it's because KD played LeBron in both those finals. That's why they'd say 2012 because 2013 they played the Spurs. But this time it's KD was in this series and he lost, and then he was in this series and they won. So if you gave LeBron the team that won against KD with KD's team that won against LeBron, which one would win? That's what I'm going to assume, because I'm just going to assume that he's not just trying to give KD the advantage. I'm assuming. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm just going to go with, to assume the best out of someone instead of just assuming they have a bad agenda to push.
So chill. My question is, did any points that Mars made yesterday, did that sway your thinking in terms of the 2012 or 2013 Heat beating the 2017 Warriors?
When he brought up the point about rim protection, that was, like I said, that was a right cross to the chin piece, because when you think about who was playing behind there, if I remember, it was Mario Chalmers at the 1, Wade at the 2, James at the 3, Chris Bosh at the 4. Who was playing the 5?
They either ran UD.
I think
they'd run Chris Bosh at the 5 and have Shane Battier at the 4.
Are we talking about 2012 or 2013? Because in 2013 they had Birdman, they still had Joel Anthony, who played a good amount of minutes.
I think it's 2013, right? I think it is
2013. So a lot of the stuff that they did in terms of rim protection, because James was one of their better rim protectors. Wade was one of their better shot blockers, right? So they did a lot of their stuff by committee. So with that being said,
don't forget about Bosh too, though.
Chris Bosh wasn't much of a rim protector.
He wasn't bad though.
He wasn't great, but he wasn't much of a rim protector.
He was serviceable.
Yeah, he was. Bosh was more of a finesse big, more than anything.
He was a versatility guy, not a anchor.
Right. Yeah. He wasn't. And with that being said, I'm thinking about how defensively they would have to deal with these guys on the wing. I don't think that they would give up many drives, but when they did, it would be a huge problem. It would be a huge problem for them. That's what when Mars said that, I was thinking, yeah, that might be a problem. That's why my rebut to that was both James, Wade, and also Shane Battier would have to do their best just to keep these guys in front of them, because at the rim there wasn't much rim protection.
Ox, would you like to chime in on this at all?
Kind of got as far as this Heat team versus this Warriors team, kind of pretty much got it all off yesterday. I know, but one thing I would like to say is, like, if the biggest problem is rim protection against the Warriors, then I don't think it's a big deal.
What's that mean?
Like I don't think rim protection, having a rim protection issue against this Warriors team, I don't see that as being like your biggest problem.
I think it's the biggest problem simply because they play like you're gonna crowd the 3, so they're gonna do everything that they can to get to the basket, because your defense is so spread out. Because your defense is so spread out and it's so wide open, they're gonna try to do their best to get to the basket. That's why they shoot the long ball like they do, because that sets them up to get to the basket. And if we don't have anybody protecting the rim, then how are we going to beat these guys? Because even as good as they are shooting the long ball, and they are going to shoot the long ball, at some point that's going to get slowed down. But because that offense is so wide open, that's also taken away from the big guy or whoever it is that's down there being underneath the rim and protecting the rim, because the offense is so wide open. So that's definitely a big deal.
Yeah, actually, but it's like, how are these guys supposed to just walk to the rim? Like, this Miami Heat just didn't play no defense. Is that what we're saying? Like Shane Battier, all these guys that we already named, they can't. They have the inability to keep who in front of them. I'm saying, how are these guys are just walking to the rim? Like the Heat aren't playing any defense.
I just want to we've all watched Golden State, right? We know how they get to the rim. Like, I don't get the question as being, if we've watched Golden State, we know how they get to the rim. It's off these split cuts where you end up trapping the 3-point line and someone gets a dive to the rim. Transition is obvious, they're going to get to the rim in transition. Or you can just come off a pick and roll, then you trap Steph, short roll, there's a lob. Like, we know how they get shots at the rim. That's why every year that Steve Kerr was coaching them, they were in the top of the league and wide open layups, or a percentage of points off wide open layups, because that's what they do. I don't understand what the question is. We're not talking about top of the key isolation, get downhill. That's not what they do. I'm confused of what's being asked right now.
What Bobby's saying is he trusts their perimeter defense, which I do agree, because the main thing that helped the Houston Rockets to combat against the Warriors was their versatility, right?
Their switchability, yeah.
Their switchability. So I think that's the answer, not them needing a rim protector. So what he's saying is they do have good perimeter defenders to be able to combat that. I disagree with the idea that our defenders would do that well against them. If it was like the Chicago Bulls, I would like it a lot. But or even the Houston Rockets, because them being able to stay in front of those guys was very key. But I agree with Bobby's point where rim protection isn't really a necessity to beat those guys. I think versatility is the main key.
I also want to chime in and say that I think this Heat team matches up with that 2017 team a little better than we give them credit for. And this is my main point is, that Warriors death lineup where obviously Draymond at the 5, KD at the 4, Iggy at the 3, and then you got Clay. Yeah. I think that lineup with Bosh at the 5 and James at the 4, I think that lineup is it's very scary for them. And it doesn't matter for the Warriors. And it doesn't matter if you put Ray Allen in there. Doesn't matter if don't forget they have Rashard Lewis as well. So you can put Rashard somewhere in there.
No way.
I'm talking about strictly as a shooter. I'm talking about strictly as a floor spacer. But
he was that, bro.
Okay. We can move off of Rashard Lewis though, because they still got once again Mike Miller. He's going to be bad defensively, but he's going to come in and snipe.
Was Mike Miller on that 13 team?
Yeah,
he barely played. Played.
Which year was it what year was it when Mike Miller's shoe fell off and he came in the finals?
12.
That was 12.
Okay.
You still got obviously Norris Cole, Mario Chalmers. So you could run some type of iteration of Mario, D Wade, Ray Allen, LeBron, and Bosh. And I think that lineup is still that's tough for the Warriors to guard as well.
What the issue is trying to match them offensively, and we don't have the offensive power to match them. So in order to combat the Golden State Warriors,
that's what I beg to differ though.
You don't have the offensive so with KD, let's take KD off the Warriors, right? So if we take KD off the Warriors, I believe they led the league in scoring that year, right? They had the best offense in the league. What we're going to do in the process of having the best offense in the league, we're going to add 28 a game to that. So we don't have the offensive power to match that. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to combat that with defense. We're going to have to do our best to slow them down, because everything that they do, it's not just give this guy the basketball, he goes one-on-one, give this guy the basketball, he goes one-on-one. No, the action that they run, split cuts, down screens, pin downs, curl cuts, in transition, all of that stuff is in addition to what these guys do one-on-one. We can't match that offensively because we don't have that. So what we got to do is we got to limit touches. Not only do we have to limit touches, we got to get on the backboard and we got to lead these guys to one shot and one shot only. Otherwise, if we let these guys get out and run like they do, we got to stop them in transition. If we let these guys get out and run like they do, if we don't get on the backboard and limit these guys to one shot, they're going to blow our doors off. So we can't match these guys. We can't match these guys in terms of offense. That's not going to work.
Like I said, I just don't see the mismatch that y'all see.
I understand what Bob's saying.
I just don't see the mismatch y'all see. It's as simple as that to me.
I do want to talk about other teams other than the Heat being able to beat the Golden State Warriors unit. Whichever year we want to use. Ron, I agree with you. It's the same fucking team. I don't know why people getting their panties in a bunch.
It's the same one. That's strange, but all right.
It's not though, Dub, because that 13 team was better. James was better.
No, I'm talking about 17.
Even if it was,
we talk about the Warriors. We talk about the Warriors.
And that team wasn't as good as the 17 team.
I don't chill. It's still the same iteration.
Even if it's the same personnel, I can appreciate the same personnel, but it wasn't the same crew. Just like in 2000 and 2001, Kobe Bryant was on the 2000 Lakers NBA championship team. He wasn't the same player in 2001 that he was in 2000.
That's the difference. That's the difference in that team, though. When you talk about the Warriors, I don't think nobody got significant because Kobe was still young. He was still relatively young. It was the difference between year 4 and 5 or the year 5 and 6. Those are big jumps in age differences. When you go from year 5 to year 6, players tend to take a leap forward. But as opposed to the Warriors, all of them were kind of like.
They were already in there.
They were more closer.
Are the 2015 and 2016 Warriors the same team to you as well?
Those teams had some changes, didn't they?
Wasn't it the difference between Draymond Green had to be integrated
think of them in the playoffs. So they're the two same teams.
Didn't those teams have different free agents though and stuff like that?
No, Mars. The difference between that is the continuity between Draymond Green and the offense with Steph. So that was the main difference, right? So they had a whole season and a half of playing with each other, while in 2015, Draymond Green had to just be an integrated crew. That's the difference. You brought up 2001, 2002. I agree. I think it's the same freaking team. It doesn't matter to me. I think in 2000 Kobe, and 2001 Kobe, he took a tremendous jump. It's a different guy. Klay Thompson actually in 2018 played better than he did in the year before. My whole thing is it's just the same team. It's just one performed better. And to Chilltown's point, like you could play
so
better.
You're gonna pick the one that performed better, no?
They performed better in like the regular season, but I mean the playoffs, they was going up against weak comp, bro. So it's like how much am I going to take that serious, honestly?
I mean,
like what Chilltown says,
2018 was
like what Chilltown says. You could play better, right? But I'm not going to sit here and think that you're automatically better just because it's the same.
I think they were better because they played with the pressure of they have to get this done. Whereas 2018, it was like we've got it done already. I don't think there was much of an urgency, which is why I don't think they were as good of a team, because once you've already got it done, it's less pressure on you to really play at the highest level. Whereas 2017, it seemed like every single game in the playoffs, they were trying to go 100% and kill everyone. And that's why I think.
Don't you think that's front running? Because every team they went up against, they was going to beat besides the Cleveland Cavaliers?
You can call it front running, but I call it they were a better team because I think they played with more of a sense of urgency than 2018. 2018, the defense intensity was worse in the regular season and the playoffs. 2018 offensively, I don't think they were as good. 2018, I don't think they played as fast. I think there was just a lot of things that I think they were just slightly better in 2017. And when the title is the greatest team of all time, I expect the correct year to be used. I'm sorry, that's just me.
Dub, are you sure that 2017 Spurs team is that a different series if Leonard doesn't get hurt? Because again, they were expected to beat. They were expected to beat everybody. When you add 27, 28 a game to a roster or to an offense that's already high powered, sure, you're expected to win the next season. But when you think about that 16-17 Spurs team, and I mean, they did win 67 games that year. So it wasn't like they were just a good team. Sure. They were fantastic, right?
No, go ahead. I don't mean
they were fantastic, and the fact of how good Kawhi Leonard was and how he was woven into that offense, and how Pau Gasol was what Pau Gasol was on the other side of who he was, but LaMarcus Aldridge was solid, and the fact that they played the way that they played and what they did was exactly what I was talking about with the Miami Heat. Was in terms of combating them defensively, because we can't match these dudes offensively. So we got to do what we can to slow them down, which is what they did when they played against the Warriors. I remember opening night would be a prime example when they smoked them dudes. They held them to 100 points. Smoked them dudes on opening night, which is the idea. We can't match what these guys do offensively, so we have to slow them down defensively. And that's what they did in that playoff series before Leonard got hurt. So I think that we're having a different conversation if Leonard doesn't get hurt.
And I'm glad that you said that, because that's my point. I feel as if everyone's opinion gets skewed because of that series right there. The competition which they were supposed to go up against that season, we weren't able to see them struggle against it because of injuries going their way. While in 2018, even though injuries went their way, the Pelicans unit was probably a better unit than they faced in 2017. The Houston Rockets, I think, was the best unit that they went up in 2017, apart from like Cleveland Cavaliers, right? But even then, I think the Houston Rockets was a team that was more favored to beat the Warriors because of the matchups, right? Because I think Cleveland's defense just wasn't there to sit here and combat the Golden State Warriors offense, right? While Houston Rockets, at least they had the offense and the defense to combat it, right? So I think a lot of people's opinion gets skewed because of how dominant they perform, because of the weak competition, and I don't like that. And you know how I feel about that because we talked about it together.
Yes, we have.
If you dominate weak competition, I'm expecting that, so I'm not going to value it as highly as you going up against guys making you work, and you're still able to overcome that. That's just me.
Well, we all know that being good isn't good enough, right? You do need some things to go your way. I would have liked to have seen San Antonio be fully healthy because of what I had seen them do throughout the school. I was about to say the school year. I'm sorry. Throughout the regular season, and what I had seen them do, I really thought that was a good matchup because it was a great test for San Antonio defensively, and it was a great test for Golden State offensively. I just thought that if they run up on these guys, they got a really good shot at beating them. As good as Kevin Durant was and how he was woven into that offense, I just thought that San Antonio defense would have been a lot I think that they would have been tested to their limits, and I would have liked to have seen what would have happened there.
Me too. I was a Steph and KD hater at that time, so I was rooting for the Spurs.
I was a Golden State fan at that time. I remember that opening night game. Jonathan Simmons had like 25 points. I don't know what Jonathan Simmons had a great night, and I had never heard of him before that game. I was like, what the hell? Who's this guy? Now, I was just so annoyed seeing that.
I will tell you this, because we hear this all the time. To be honest with you, Ron, I think that 96 Bulls team would have gave them hell for the same reason why San Antonio would have given them hell. Simply because offensively, we are good, but we're not that good offensively. As good as Jordan was, as good as Scottie Pippen was, as good as Tony Kukoc was, as good as Steve Kerr was at shooting the basketball, as good as they were offensively, that Golden State Warrior team, as fast as they played, as fast as the basketball moved, you can't match them offensively. So the Bulls would have had to do everything they could defensively to slow them down. And I think the one catalyst to that would have been Scottie Pippen dealing with Kevin Durant. I think Scottie Pippen, who does a great job at throwing scorers off rhythm. Scottie Pippen might be, if he's not the best, he's arguably the best on-ball defender in NBA history. So when you got a guy in Scottie Pippen who is that great on ball, he keeps his hands busy, he's physical, but he's even better at keeping the basketball away from you. So a guy like Kevin Durant, who's a rhythm scorer, if you keep the basketball away from a guy like Kevin Durant, get him out of rhythm, you could get that offense out of rhythm and you can slow them down doing that. Ron Harper can do the same thing with Steph Curry, where you can keep the basketball away from him. Once a guy gets the ball and he gets going and he gets in rhythm, it's pretty difficult to deal with him. So I think the Bulls, same with the 2017 San Antonio Spurs, I think that they would have had to combat the Golden State Warriors by slowing them down defensively. That's the only way that they would have beaten them.
So you got the Bulls, and it's the 96 Bulls?
I do have the Bulls because I feel like they would have done a better
96?
job. Yeah, I think that they would have done a better job in terms of perimeter defense. I think they would have done a better job rebounding. They had the best rebounder in the league. They had two of the best perimeter defenders in the game. They had, and in terms of offense, they had a good enough offense. I think they had a good enough offense to compete, but that wouldn't have been the difference in them winning. I think their defense would have been the difference in them winning.
I want to talk about how this 0-1 team is going. The 0-1 Lakers will beat the Warriors, bro. That's what I really want to talk about.
It's that simple. Shaq.
See, Dub, y'all, you and Chilton, y'all going with the obvious ones. Those are obvious ones. Both of those teams are smacking the Warriors.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the 08 Celtics.
All right, hold on. We're gonna get into all of that. Let's go team by team. Let's go team by team.
Focus on 0-1. We'll focus on 0-1, right?
Let's stay with the Bulls. No, let's stay with the Bulls.
Okay, my bad.
Is everybody in favor of the Bulls beating the 17 Warriors?
Yeah. I'll probably pick the Bulls.
In how many games do you guys think that the Bulls win?
7.
I think it's a lot.
I think it depends on the era in which they play. I'm just assuming the game's being
6 or
played
7,
in 96.
Probably I'll go 6.
Because I think if the Bulls play them in today's game, I think Golden State win. But in Chicago's era, Golden State have to play there. I think the Bulls win in 7.
Yeah, I think I agree with Mars, because if they're able to have zone on them and everything, and then you're gonna have like Rodman out there, and then who was their big man, Mars? Bill Cartwright at that time?
Luke Longley at the time.
Luke Longley.
Yeah.
So you having guys like they're out there, they'll be able to play zone and not respect them. I find it very hard for MJ to be able to get off. So if they're playing in the 90s, for sure. But in this era,
chill. No, you're gonna let him off the hook. What are we talking about? You find it hard for MJ to get off?
Because I'm thinking to myself,
in what universe?
Can you imagine, Doug?
I'm not sure I agree with that, man.
Come on, Doug.
Can you imagine?
my bad.
I'm not sure I agree with that, man.
That's what we do, right? We get an opportunity to walk it back.
He's trying to take it back, y'all.
I'll take it back. I bet. All right, I'll say the Bulls' offense wouldn't be able to be as great. I'll say that. My bad. I apologize.
Because I'm thinking about the Bulls. I'm thinking about in 2017. Can you imagine not being able to put hands on Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine not being able to slow down Scottie Pippen in transition? Like, you can't put hands on Scottie Pippen in transition as a ball handler, and just getting out in transition. You can't put hands on him. You can't rough Dennis Rodman up. Dennis Rodman might not be able to rough you up, but you can't rough Dennis Rodman up. So that would be really difficult. And him creating second chance points for the Bulls, whether he's tipping the basketball in or he's getting the basketball off the rim and getting another shot out to Steve Kerr. So even if they did play in this era, I don't think it's a wash. Because this game today is, I think this game today is, I think this game today is tailor made for guys like Tony Kukoc, Steve Kerr. This game is tailor made for guys like that. Shoot the long ball.
I don't know how much Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr could shoot for sure. He getting picked apart defensively. They're going.
I don't know how much he can play.
So essentially,
I also don't know how much Luke Longley's going to be able to play with his foot speed on the perimeter. Bill Wennington was their backup big, right?
Yes.
I don't know how much he's going to get on the floor. I think you're going to have to run Dennis Rodman at the small ball 5, probably in today's game, which I'm not complaining about. I mean, Dennis Rodman. But I think that's what they're going to have to do. But I think Golden State in 6 in today's game, Chicago in 7 in Chicago's era. Ox your mute.
Can't hear you, Big Ox.
To be able to compete, that lineup would have to be like Rodman, Kukoc, Pippen, Jordan, and Harper.
Yeah.
Yo, that line. I personally think that's the best death lineup of all time. And one person that we have yet to mention, and I refuse to sleep on him, is Ron Harper. And now he sounds like an afterthought, but if you know, Ron Harper was.
Oh, no one's disrespecting Ron Harper.
That boy locks up,
man. I'm just gonna make sure that we give him his proper praise on both ends of the floor. And then another thing too, though.
Remember Cleveland, Ron Harper could score as well.
Oh, so, Cleveland, Ron Harper.
Before he tore his knee up, he was 20 plus a game.
Something different.
Yes, he was.
But I do want to mention the fact that I don't want to undermine the Bulls' offense, because keep in mind that iteration of the triangle with the pieces that they have, that wasn't just the isolation type of offense where it's give Jordan the ball and move out the way. No, they actually played with their heads. They moved without the ball. They had chemistry. So I think that they would have made the Warriors play a little bit of defense. I think it wouldn't have just been a piece of cake.
They were the best offense in the league.
They were. It was them. It was them. So the 2 of the 3 years, it was them in Utah.
Yeah,
as the best offense in the league. And in fact, to your point, Ron, it was the complete opposite. That's why the triangle offense was iterated, because they wanted to get away from just giving one guy the basketball. They wanted to exactly that, Maul. They wanted to get away from just giving the guy the basketball and him going. No, they wanted a lot of action off the basketball to keep the defense on their heels.
Yeah, for sure. And then another thing too, like what do you guys what do we think the Draymond and Dennis Rodman matchup looks like over a 7-game series?
I don't want to see it.
I think Dre would have swung on Dennis. He would have got kicked out. Because Dennis is smart. Dennis is a lot smarter than you guys give him credit for. Dennis is much smarter than you guys give him credit for. I think Dennis would have played Dre right into his hands, and he would have ended up doing something dumb. Not just doing something dumb. He would have completely threw them off their rails. No doubt about that. I believe Dennis would have outplayed him. Now, you guys looking at it again, Dub in particular, he doesn't want to see that matchup because he's looking at it from an offensive standpoint. Dennis Rodman, Draymond Green, you're not winning without those guys. So that dirty work matchup between those two will be a great matchup. A matchup, a band of wits between those guys to see who could out-rebound each other. Not only out-rebound each other, who could stay in the game and not foul. Who could keep these guys under control. Because in addition to Draymond being their emotional leader, he's their best defender too. So they need him on the floor. And if he's not on the floor, they really struggling.
You know why I said trash? Because especially in that rebounding block, bro, Rodman's just going to be doing his thing on him, rebounding the ball, grabbing offensive and defensive rebounds. Draymond's going to get frustrated, right? Draymond, he excels in like team defense. He excels in that. But these one-on-one matchups that, people try to be like he's like this God tier, like it's not really the best part of his game. You feel me? While Rodman, these one-on-one matchups, man, I'm telling you, he would do him dirty.
You don't like Draymond as a one-on-one defender?
He's a good one-on-one defender. I think that he gets his most value out of being a versatile guy. I'm doing many things great, right? He's not a great rebounder, right? He's not this phenomenal great all-tier passer. He's not this crazy phenomenal all-time one-on-one defender. But he's good at all of these things, what makes him so great. So I think one-on-one matching with Rodman and Dre, he would kill him, bro. He would kill him.
You think Dennis would outwork Draymond?
He'll get like 15 to 20 rebounds every night.
Hey Mars, if Dennis is getting 20 rebounds, the Warriors are not winning. It's not happening. It's just not.
I mean, who stops him though?
Well, my thinking is in the 90s, I agree. Dennis Rodman is probably going to get like 16 rebounds a game. Today's game with more shots coming from three, that means more long rebounds. Dennis Rodman was great at getting them, but I just think that's less available for him to get, which is why I think he'd average less. But I think in the 90s, yeah, probably he gets like 16 rebounds a game, which is why it's another reason why I think the Bulls would win in the 90s. And I just hate Draymond's fit playing in the 90s. He's a tweener. Like I don't like him. He'd probably have to play the 3 in the 90s, but then in that series he'd probably be playing the 5. But then if they went big, I don't know what it. Yeah, I don't like Draymond Green playing in the 90s. That's it. I just
because at that era, him playing the 3. Now what that means is that he's got to score.
Yeah, he's asked to do a bit too much.
Yeah,
and also with the way defense worked, team defense was less called upon. It was more isolation, one-on-one defense. Like you'd have to like really leverage the rules in your favor to be able to have a huge impact as a team defender, which Draymond Green probably could do, but it also does just dent his impact. And then as a playmaker, I don't think anyone's really going to be using him as a playmaker in the 90s, to be honest. So I'm not Draymond. You should be grateful you came up in this generation, in my opinion.
It happens.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
Now, this question right here, really quick, Ron, what you just said, KD and optimal spacing cooks anyone. Who doesn't cook anyone in optimal spacing?
Facts.
If you give somebody enough room to work, who doesn't cook anybody?
Draymond Green.
You think Julius Randle could cook?
Mars, don't start Draymond Green and Julius Randle slander. Do not.
I ain't never say Julius Randle.
I've seen, and I know you don't hate. I know you hate this, Mars. He did have a stretch this year. Julius Randle had a stretch this year. I believe he was averaging like 32 at 11 for like a 7-8 game stretch.
Oh, is that when
I remember that? I almost sent Mars a jersey for Christmas.
Hey, don't talk about that.
That's when he made that game winner on Miami.
Yes, he made that game winner on. So with that,
where he fumbled the ball like 4 times. And then got a shot. Yeah, great game winner.
It was a desperation shot. But anybody especially in today's game, or not even in today's game, in any game, anybody in optimal space who's a scorer will cook anybody. That's just what a scorer does.
Yeah, I agree.
Mars, can I ask you a quick question? All curiosity. It's just pure curiosity. What does the front court of Draymond and Julius Randle look like?
Oh my God.
Here we go.
As long as you know Draymond Green's the better player of those two, that's a good place to start. But
that's a backcourt. Me and Mars should be out there, bro. I'm not even gonna hold you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to see that. They're competing for the number 1 pick next year.
Nah, all right. So look. What?
Oh, Mars, they garbage. So that's what you trying to tell me?
Hey, I don't like it. I don't like it. Maybe if you gave them Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, they might make the playoffs. Maybe.
Oh my God! I like to give Draymond a little bit more credit than that, yo. Just as
I don't know how much Draymond can carry Julius Randle for being. He's just such a fraud. Like I don't know how much he can do.
I don't know.
The thing is with Draymond that gets me so upset, and me and Mars have talked about this before. With KD going to Golden State, I feel as if we never got to see his offensive potential because in 2016. I think he was like not this great, but I think he was a really good like offensive player because I remember there was a game where I think he hit a game winner or like came big through in the clutch when like Curry was out. He was able to, I don't know, he was just hitting shots, hitting the mid-range, that game 7 versus Cleveland. And I think with KD going there really hampered his offensive like potential. So I really am curious. Like I like doing like what if stories in my head, but not what ifs like this guy getting hurt. Like what if this guy didn't go here and how much better this guy could have been. And Draymond Green is one of those guys where I do think his offensive potential would have been higher if KD never went there.
I think that he just stopped looking at the rim in 2017. Like I don't like my biggest takeaway, like to start the season, they weren't like fully acclimated. Like Steph Curry was struggling. They didn't really know their place. But Draymond Green, like in my opinion, someone might disagree. He just stopped looking at the basket in 2017. Like he didn't shoot unless he had to. Whereas in 2016, he would actually look to get his own. Sometimes if he was open, he'd shoot it. He just played more of a free offensive game. It seemed like when he got KD and Steph and Clay, he was like, These guys are scorers. I'm not a scorer. I'm not going to shoot unless I have to.
See, I got to commend Draymond for stuff like that, though. You know what I'm saying? Personally, I think that was a big W for Draymond Green to realize that, like, okay, I'm not one of the top 4 scorers on this team. I don't need to try to be. I don't need to get in Kevin Durant's way. He can do the scoring. I'm gonna do the dirty work, get the loose balls, get the rebounds, attack the offensive glass. You know, stay in passing lanes, all that type of stuff. You know, getting play the mind games with those guys. I gotta commend Draymond for being able to see that.
Big Ox, are you trying to say, Big Ox, that Draymond knew his job and he just did it to the best of his ability?
That's a beautiful thing.
That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, that's something I just seen people in the chat, and that's where I'm going with it too, because we talked about it a lot, Town. That's what DeAndre Ayton needs to be thinking right now this summer. Right. It's his time to be like, okay, let me try to average 15 rebounds this year.
Well, two things with KD. Two things. I disagree with what Dub said about KD and getting on that Warriors team and hampered his offense. In fact, I think it expanded his game. And the reason why I feel like it expanded his game is because now him being an isolation scorer was all we knew about him. We never actually saw KD operate in action off the basketball. Everything was ran for him. So now he gets with that Warriors offense where it's the ball's moving. You got a lot of action off the basketball, and the shot selection that he had was much better. Not only was the shot selection that he had much better, the shots that he was getting within that offense. So now instead of having 2 and 3 guys hanging on me, I only got 1 guy hanging on me. So I'm getting better shots. Not only am I getting better shots within the offense in the half court, I'm getting better shots in transition, because when you coming back in transition and you got Curry on one wing, or Curry with the basketball, you got Klay Thompson on one wing, or Draymond with the basketball, and you got KD trailing, you don't know who to stop. As opposed to when he was in Oklahoma City, when you had a young James Harden, you had a young Ibaka. So these guys weren't nearly as offensively advanced as KD was. Or not just KD, but Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. They weren't nearly as offensively advanced as he was. So when KD gets on his crew in 2017, I think that even enhanced his offense, because he was just so much better within that offense.
I wasn't talking about KD.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what it sounded like. That's what
okay, it's cool.
I was like, it sounded like you said it hampered KD. I went off on a tangent.
I'm thinking about it over, maybe I could understand where you heard that, but no, I was talking about Draymond Green game. But to Big Ox's point, and Ox made a really good point, it sounded like somebody who embraced his job. Okay, like Dennis Rodman did with the Bulls, and like what Dennis Rodman did with the Pistons. I'm the dirty work guy. I'm not going to score. I'm going to leave that to you guys and you guys only. And what I do for this unit is going to make us so much better. Now, I will tell you this, Moss. I think that with Draymond being able to handle the basketball, with Draymond being able to pass, I think that advanced his game. So later on, when they lose KD, now that makes him even better as a distributor, not only as a distributor, but as a playmaker. So when they get those guys back, he looks even better as that.
I agree. I do agree with that. I think his playmaking just seems to get better year on year, in my opinion. I think his just passing reads become more refined. I think 2016 was at the start of it, and then every year since then, he's just been getting better and better. So I guess you can give KD credit for that, because he's had to just start facilitating more with more talent around him, and now he's taking that into these years post KD as well. So yeah, it benefits him in some ways, and then it hurt him in other ways. It depends on what you value more, I guess.
Draymond, I think his impact on that offense, sometimes I don't think we give him as much credit as we should. If you remove Draymond from that offense, and it's completely different. We think about the splash bros. We think about Steph and Klay and their ability to stretch the floor out, come off screens, backdoor cuts, all of that stuff. We think about that, and yes, that's a major thing, but a lot of times, who's the person giving them the dribble handoff?
See, man.
Who's the person making those cuts?
I praise Draymond for 30 seconds. I'll stop talking, then we get to this shit.
I know what you finna talk about.
Any 5 of us could do Draymond's job on the offensive end. He don't do nothing but run.
Paul Millsap could do it.
And that may be true. That may be true, but Paul Millsap hasn't been there for 4 championships. So if Paul Millsap was there, I would give him credit, but he's not there. Draymond Green is there, making those reads, making those screens, making those slip cuts, making those extra passes, moving without the ball, getting offensive rebounds, hyping those guys up, doing everything that he does. the
hyping those guys up.
Hyping those guys up. That goes into it
now
too.
we ranking hype now.
That goes into. I'm talking about everything Draymond does.
Jared Dudley, the Hall of Famer, man.
Hey, I'm talking about everything Draymond does. I feel like we don't give him enough credit just because he can't shoot. We'll all say he's trash.
No, don't do that. That's not what it is, Ron. That's not what it is. This is the thing with Draymond. So, like what I said earlier, him having the having the knowledge and the wisdom to take a step back and let these guys do their thing. I commend that. But at the same time, a lot of it has to do with his inability to do certain things on offense, which is whatever, because he has a lot of intangibles. But on the offensive end, it's not Draymond isn't the cause of the offense. The offense is what makes Draymond. He's just making whether he's a perfect fit or not.
Please stop, dog.
That doesn't take away from the fact that he produces for that offense, and that doesn't take away from the fact that he's an asset to the offense. I
feel you, Bob, because Ron capping right now, bro.
So he's not an asset to the offense.
He could be an asset to
Okay, that's the point I'm trying to make. I said we don't give him enough credit for being an asset in offense.
No. That man making those passes like that, bro. A caveman can do it.
It can be, but the caveman just happens to be called Draymond Green then. So let's give that caveman.
I got you. I could get with what you're saying, Ron. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm just like Draymond doesn't. This is my only point. Draymond doesn't bring any specific skill set to the offense,
and I still think you guys is hating saying that. But I get what you guys are saying. But I still do believe that it's probably a handful
Big Ox,
is
your logic that Draymond. Big Ox, is your logic that ain't nothing special about Draymond? He's a dime a dozen. That's what it sounds like.
His mind, his brain.
That does matter. Your basketball IQ is very important. 100% that is. But I
don't want to take that away from him.
But from a skill set standpoint, from a skill set standpoint, it sounds to me like you're saying he a dime. You sound like he a dime a dozen. Like we can find Draymond anywhere.
And I don't want to say that because, like I said,
that's what it sounds like you're saying.
His mind. Draymond is super intelligent on the hoop court, and you can see it. You can see what he's doing, but it's on the defensive end, on the offensive end. I mean, come on. What I'm saying is, you take away Steph Curry, and Draymond isn't even Malik Rose.
Listen. He's a dime a dozen offensively.
Saying Dennis Rodman is Reggie Evans is disrespectful, I guess.
Right.
He's a dime a dozen offensively, but not defensively. Offensively, bro. I mean, I'm not giving him tons of credit for that offense being like that.
Hey, the offense was nice before KD got there. That's all I'm gonna say. And it looked pretty good after KD left too.
There is a certain light-skinned guy who has number 30 that would probably say that's.
He had a lot to do with that.
No, yes, absolutely. But I'm saying like Draymond has something to do with it too, though.
Tim's eight rebounds, five points, 4 assists.
It's the intangible. Thank you, L basketball. Come on, you can't fall into this L basketball trap. Hey, Big Ox, you cannot fall into this ox trap of throwing out stats. You can't do that.
So I can't even. So what you're saying is, anytime I say a number, it's math.
L basketball, man.
So Draymond in that offense with the Golden State Warriors. So. Are you saying, Big Ox, that and I'm not? I want to make sure I get some clarity on this. So when he's in that offense, so when they play against the 2001 Lakers, is he completely and utterly ineffective against? There's no reason for him to be on the floor.
Damn.
No reason for him to be on the floor.
There's no reason at all for him to be on the floor because his defense does nothing for them in that series.
So he can't slow down Robert Horry at all. He can't deal with Bryant Shaw. He can't deal with Rick Fox. He can't deal with any of those guys defensively.
Hey, Draymond's looking up Kobe, man. What are we talking about, man? Draymond on Kobe.
Whoa.
That's a day right there.
Dub said that whoa like he just saw the receipt from a bill that we just about to eat. Like, hold on a second.
I expected it all.
Who ordered this shit?
Wait a minute. Hold.
You gotta slow down, Mars. Slow down.
Hey, he's a defensive player of the year. I don't even
slow down, buddy. Come on. Let's not do it. Whoa.
I guess people just gonna hate on a defensive player.
Let me reel Mars back in.
Facts.
Let's chill out, Mars, for a second right there. Because
I'm done trolling for the day. There you go.
Okay. Whoa.
So do you guys all have the Lakers winning that series?
The 0-1 Lakers versus them? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got that. I think that's the biggest mismatch. Like,
so how do you see Shaq defending a pick and roll?
He's terrible in the pick and roll. We do know that. The Utah Jazz exposed that with Shaq on the regular. In fact, they ran that frequently against the Lakers. And Shaq struggled in the pick and roll. But I just think offensively, they have nothing.
Oh, they have no answer for Shaq.
They have no answer to combat Shaq. And with like you talked about with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and then add KD. All right, I can get with that logic. But Shaq, and then compound that with what Kobe was doing that year in 2001, I think they smoked them dudes. I don't think they beat them. I think they smoked the 2017 Warriors.
But I'm not saying I disagree, because I probably would go with the Lakers, and I don't want to just do this for every argument, but in the 2000s, I think the Lakers win easily. In today's game, I think it's a close series. I don't know who would win. But my issue is we've seen Shaq, like you said, against the Jazz in pick and roll situations.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime there was a team that had one high-level shooter, Shaq never extended beyond the paint,
right,
and that would allow those shooters to get off. Now we're putting Shaq in a situation where KD is an all-time great shooter, Klay Thompson is, and Steph Curry, and we know he's reluctant to leave the paint. I just don't see how that. Yes, you can't answer for Shaq on the other end, but Shaq would be such a liability defensively that I think it at least keeps the games close. Like I don't think there's a way that the Lakers can just blow them out, besides just the Warriors having a poor shooting night, because Shaq is just not going to be useful on defense.
Can I ask y'all something about the Warriors, that pick and roll that the Warriors do? I love it. I really love it. It's beautiful. But I just want to know why teams keep playing it like this, where the roll man is usually Draymond, right? And then the guy off the baseline in rotation on weak side, he always goes to help Draymond, and then Draymond does that little drops it down to the short corner of the roll man. Why? How many times have we seen Draymond throw up weak ass floaters and stuff? Like, why aren't we making Draymond shoot that floater?
The issue is he doesn't do it often, but there are times where, like, I can't give you like specific instances off the top of my head, like, oh, Clint Capella didn't fully help and Draymond made a float. I don't remember those specific times. Yeah. But there are times where teams will play the lob and Draymond will either turn it over, throw it off the backboard, do something ridiculous, or he will just take it all the way in for a layup. And then if you keep doing that, I think even this Kings series this year, I think there was quite a few times where the Kings played the pass of Draymond, and there was like a couple games where he like actually scored very well because he was just being aggressive to the rim. And I think that's where it's like you have to pick your poison at that point. If you're saying teams just need to pick the Draymond poison more often, sure, I'm not mad at that. If you don't, maybe not edible, but I don't know about poison. It just doesn't taste very nice. But you'll survive. That's how you're looking at. Okay, that makes sense.
And you brought up an interesting point, Mars. The pick and roll action with the Golden State Warriors. Now, when you talk about Stockton and Malone, it was more Stockton and Malone with the basketball. Was it a lot of pick and roll action? Because I want to make sure I'm remembering this correctly. It looked like a lot of the pick and roll action with the Golden State Warriors wasn't with one guy handling the basketball and another guy coming up. It was more the ball was moving. It was a lot of dribble handoff stuff with these guys. Now, when you talk about Shaq being in the paint, he may very well struggle with that, but he struggled more with a guy having the basketball, dribbling the basketball, and not being able to hedge and recover. Now, when you're talking about a guy with dribble handoffs, I think that's a little less difficult to cover for Shaq, because at some point Shaq can possibly play drop coverage, but as big as he is, he can recover and extend to shooters and make it difficult. Now, that's not to say that he's going to stop Steph Curry from shooting the basketball. That's not saying he's going to stop Klay Thompson from shooting the basketball. But as big as Shaq was and as athletic as Shaq was, he can extend enough to just make it a little bit difficult on a guy like Andre Iguodala, on a guy like Steph Curry, or any of these shooters that they had, like Sean Livingston, to make it difficult on them to shoot the basketball. Now, don't get me wrong, Mars. I'm not saying that when I say that they smoke them, I'm not saying that they blow the Warriors out every night. No, I think that they handle them in these games, but I don't think that this series goes past 5 games.
So the thing about this series is I think it's going to be a battle of offenses, right? The same way how Kobe and Shaq is going to do their thing, I think the Warriors will be able to do their thing as well. But the thing is, where I will give the Lakers the benefit of the doubt is the amount of foul trouble that Kobe and Shaq will be able to put those guys in, right? So if foul trouble controls the pace, it controls the tempo, and those guys off of rhythm, right? So if Kobe and Shaq, especially in 2000 or even in today's era, will be able to control the pace and dictate the pace so that those guys can't go on runs. That's why I feel as if they will be favored in this series because of that. I mean, that's a crucial factor that nobody brings that up about. So that's why the Lakers will win, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't see how the Warriors can defend without fouling in this series. I don't see it. I think they're going to be in foul trouble. I think you're going to end up seeing James Michael McAdoo on the floor just because you're going to run out of people. So I do think I don't even know if James Michael McAdoo was on the 2017 team. I could be wrong, but that's the type of players. That's the type of players you're going to be seeing getting minutes. That's the type of people you're going to be seeing getting minutes because they're just going to be in such foul trouble that they're just going to need to try buy some minutes from anyone to maybe just commit some fouls on Shaq, put him on the free throw line. I don't know because there's no way they can just live with a front court of Draymond, Zaza Pachulia, and JaVale McGee. It won't work. So shout out to James Michael McAdoo, by the way.
Mars. You're cooked, Mars.
I said I had the Lakers winning the series. What are you talking about?
You're cooked, bro.
I'm cooked.
Mars, I do want to ask you a question that you had asked everybody else. And how do you see Shaq faring in the pick and roll?
It's not going to look good for him, in my opinion.
He's cooked. He's cooked too.
He's for sure cooked.
Yeah, I've seen Reggie Miller give him problems as an off-ball player, just coming off down screens because Shaq didn't really extend that far. I've seen Ray Allen give him problems in regular season games. Obviously, Stockton and the other guy in their pick and roll that hurt them a lot. I just don't know because the Golden State pick and roll it was a lot of off-ball action, but in certain series where they had the pick and roll advantage, they would go to that repeatedly. The series that comes to mind, 2019 against Portland, when they realized that Terry Stotts was being a clown playing drop coverage, they went to the pick and roll damn near every possession.
He didn't do nothing to stop it. He didn't do anything.
I don't know what he was doing.
Coach, what are you doing?
2022 against Boston, when they were playing drop, they were going to the pick and roll a lot of the time as well. I think when they have the pick and roll advantage, where a team's playing a terrible sort of scheme against it, they will beat that into the ground, and I think that's what they'll do against the Lakers. Now, like I said, I probably still have the Lakers winning the series because you can't defend them without fouling. Shaq is going to be unstoppable in that series. Kobe Bryant is one of the best scorers to ever exist. They still had floor spacing, especially for the time with Robert Horry, Rick Fox, Brian Shaw was on that team. They just had a lot of George. They just had a lot of, like, for the time, I'm not going to say they were a modern offense, but they had good floor spacing. And especially in the playoffs, it felt like they couldn't miss from three. Every time I watch a playoff game, it felt like they were shooting 50% from three. So I think that's why I'm still going to pick the Lakers, but I don't think it's just going to be a five. If it's 5 games, it's going to be like a close 5 games, even though that sounds ironic. I just don't think that any of these games are going to be just far out of hand. Besides the games where Golden State are just making a bunch of threes. And someone in the chat said I got to be trolling. I don't know why I said that would be trolling. I think everything I said made sense. But yeah, I got the Lakers in like 6 or 7 games, probably.
What's up with pick and roll defense in the NBA?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, because y'all say a lot, like, when teams go to like the drop coverage, it's like I feel like if you're doing that drop coverage, and that's just lazy. You're not putting up any type of resistance. Why is it like that more teams aren't hedging really high on, especially when you got guys like Draymond Green that's setting the pick, that's rolling out of it? Why isn't the big man hedging a lot harder? And why isn't the guard that's getting screened getting back into play a lot faster? Why are players allowing themselves to get screened. I see guys just, like they treat a pick and roll like it's a magnet. Like, oh,
Right.
I see he's trying to set a pick on me. I guess I gotta let him screen me. I'm just walking to his chest. Like, why isn't there more? I did see a lot of it
it depends. It depends on who you're covering. So if Steph Curry's coming off a pick and roll, if Steph Curry's got pick and roll action, if Devin Booker's got pick and roll action, I'm not going to guard him the way I guard Fred VanVleet. I'm not going to guard those two guys the same way. Those two guys shoot the basketball completely different. And if you're in the pick and roll action, you're going to play drop coverage because you got a guy with the basketball who can't shoot it as well as another guy. So you're not going to crowd him as much. But then you got a guy who comes off the pick and roll who can get downhill. So if I'm playing drop, if he doesn't shoot it, but he can get downhill, well, that gives me time to recover, and that gives me space to recover. So I'm going to have to give up something when I'm dealing with the pick and roll. And if I got a guy who's got the ability to get downhill, who can shoot the basketball. So, for example, Dame Lillard, a guy who can shoot the basketball. So I'm going to have to give up something with Damian Lillard. And Damian Lillard, his ability to get downhill, is that better than him shooting the long ball? Well, I'll tell you what I will do. I'll give up him shooting the long ball at 26, 27 feet as opposed to him getting downhill, because when he gets into the teeth of the defense, now he's got so many more options. He can get to the rim. He can get fouled. He can make plays for other people as opposed to him just getting as opposed to him shooting the 27-footer. So I can appreciate drop coverage because you don't cover everybody the same way.
Right. Well, so what about in instances like Mars was just talking about, like Portland's, like Terry Stotts? Was that just terrible coaching, or
that's just busy?
It's terrible coaching, but I also think it's personnel. Like, if you don't have mobile bigs, you often go with drop coverage, because if you play your bigs above the 3-point line, they're just going to be out of the play. They're not going to recover, which is why they had Ennis, Freedom. That's
why Rudy
Myers Leonard was their other big. They probably had another big, but I can't remember them really playing. So those type of bigs without
Ennis
that much
Cantor
mobility,
was on that team too.
Yeah, without that much mobility, that's why you often play drop. And with the guards getting around screens, I think some of it is people don't know how to navigate screens. I think that comes back to people not knowing how to play basketball. I just think they're not very good at it. And I also think you just get away with a lot more illegal screens now as well. So, I mean, if the screen's moving, it's also going to be harder to get around it, which is something Golden State do. Golden State do that basically all the time. But I think that's why teams play drop. But I think the best defensive teams are teams that can be versatile in their defensive schemes. They can play drop, they can hedge, they can switch, etc. Those type of teams are really hard to game plan against. But drop was just always the most effective tactic, in the last 10 years, because before the rise of this shooting, most teams weren't great with their pull-up 3-point shot or pull-up mid-range shots. So you were able to concede that without really giving up too much elsewhere, because you weren't giving up layups because the big was in the lane. And then teams couldn't make you pay with long 3-pointers from pull-up range. But now you got guys like Donovan Mitchell, Steph, Dame, Clay. All these guys can shoot pull-up threes. Drop coverage is starting to become less valuable because of the shooting ability people have. Which is why I think the first team I remember that was killing everyone defensively with drop coverage was the Indiana Pacers with Roy Hibbert. Frank Vogel came in. He started implementing drop coverage, and their defense was stifling basically everyone because teams just couldn't shoot the pull-up jump shots. And then a lot of teams started figuring that out, or a lot of teams started following that blueprint. And now we have the shooting, and now we're going to a more versatile, switchable sort of defensive scheme. And then we're going to find people who are going to be shooting 40-foot threes, and then you're going to have to extend even further. And the game's going in a fun direction. That's it.
I want to ask you guys, is this at the top of the list of series you guys would like to see?
No.
What do you mean?
I think this is
the 01 Lakers and the 18 Warriors.
Man, I don't care about them like that. I want to see.
Yes, for me, that was the best team Shaq ever played on. I was a huge fan of that team, considering the turmoil that they went through. They basically turned it on late in the season, and then they got rolling in the playoffs. That was some beautiful basketball that they played, and how cohesive they were. I would love to see them play against anybody.
Man,
I'd rather see the Pistons and Celtics.
The Pit,
that would be a great defense.
The bad boy Pistons and 08 Celtics?
No, I was talking about 04 Pistons.
04 Pistons against
08 Celtics. That series, the games are going to be 75-72.
I was thinking 85 to 81, Mars. That's what I was thinking.
Great. That would remind me of it was the Pacers and the Pistons where like they were scoring like 72 points a game. I mean, great series, just very defensive.
Right.
I was like,
very much.
I like those series, but most people they don't like it. They want to see 120 to 126. Yeah. I want to see the 016s versus the 07 Cavs. That's what I want to see. And I want to see when the 07 Cavs lose, I want to see people still try and tell me that it's because the Cavs were just outmatched. I want to see that.
That's nasty.
That's why I applaud it. I genuinely want to, because I genuinely believe the 016s would win that series.
I don't think that's far-fetched.
And I want to hear people say
who's pushing back on that, Morris?
The people who say that LeBron James only loses because he doesn't have enough help. I want them to play the 016s, watch them lose, and then still people tell me that's because they were outmatched.
That 01 team was better.
I agree they were better, but I get told
team was better.
I get told the 016s are one of the worst teams to make the finals, and so are the 07 Cavs. If that's the case, I expect the best player on the court, LeBron James, who some people said was the best player in the world at that time, even though he wasn't. I want to see them lose, and then people still tell me that LeBron James doesn't have enough help. I want to see that.
I would like to see the 02 Kings versus 02 Knicks. No,
you actually had an opportunity to see that.
They should have just won the series. That's
right. You had an opportunity to see that.
02 Nets versus 02.
Last I checked, there was a game 7 in Arco Arena. There was a game 7 in Arco Arena, and I mean, don't get me started on Chris Webber and Divock and Doug Christie. Don't get me started. I'm good. Let's not do that. Let's not.
Yeah, start my guy Doug Christie out. You be harsh on my man.
For anyone who doesn't know, my answer was a troll answer. Before you guys get mad at me for killing or king LeBron James, I was trolling. So calm down. But carry on. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys. It sounds like you guys are going a different direction, but top 3 series, like if I had to pay, if I could get courtside tickets to any final series, just hypothetically speaking, this series is one that I want to go watch for sure. The 17 Warriors and the 01 Lakers. Strictly because obviously the aura of both teams, the star power, and just I would like to see how both teams counter each other. Phil Jackson versus Steve Kerr. I would like to see all of that. I think this would really be one where it'd just be enticing just through and through. Then you obviously have the 01 Lakers and the 96 Bulls. That's definitely one I would like to see. But, just to keep it where we at, the 17 Warriors and the 01 Lakers, I think that series is time.
A lot of people talk a lot about the 96 Bulls because of the amount of games that they won. I don't think that was the best team Jordan was on. The 92
Bulls, right? The 92
that was the best team I think Jordan was on.
I'm
100. That was the best team. That was the best version of him. Those guys that just won the NBA championship. Not only did they just win the NBA championship, they were determined to be around. And just as a unit, how much better they had gotten with Paxson, with Jordan, with BJ, with Scotty, with Horace Grant, how the offense moved, how the defense was. I think that was the best team Jordan was on. And don't get me wrong, they did win 72 games. Well. Say it again.
Being that Knicks team in 7 games in 92 is just very impressive.
Which is one of the best series that I had ever seen. 100%. That was one of the best game, not just game 7, that 92 series. Everybody expected the Bulls to walk through the playoffs that year because of what they had done moving up to the playoffs. I mean, they had won 67 games that year. They were rolling, and they had swept Miami in the first round. Everybody thought that they were supposed to just walk through the playoffs, only except they had to switch up their game because them playing against the Detroit Bad Boys, everybody thought that brand of basketball was over, only except the Knicks were the new version of that. And not only were they the new version of that, they had players that were comparable to what the Detroit Pistons had. And they had a big man who was unstoppable in Ewing, right? They had a big man in Ewing that was unstoppable. The Bulls had Bill Cartwright, who they go to early for buckets, but they also had Jordan. They had Pippen. That offense, the way it moved, the Knicks were a lot more physical than anybody else was. Not only were they more physical, they could also score the basketball too. Those games were dogfights. And for Jordan to come out in game 7, I think he went 42-7. Scottie Pippen had a triple-double in that game. I think he went 17, 10, and 11. And that was the difference in the game. That was one of the best series that I had ever seen, 100%. And I think that Bulls team, that 92 Bulls team, that was the best team I think Jordan was ever on.
Better than 96?
Yes.
Especially offensively, in my opinion. Defensively, I think the 96 Bulls were better. Because what they could do with Rodman, Pippen, Michael Jordan, Ron Harper was just unfair. Like the things they were doing defensively were just borderline illegal. But offensively, that's Michael Jordan, in my opinion, at the peak of his powers. Scottie Pippen is still in his athletic prime, probably at the peak of his powers as well. Horace Grant was an all-star level player. Like that team just to me was still very, very good. Best offense in the NBA. Their defense was still one of the best in the league. And I just think when you have Michael Jordan at his best with a great supporting cast, I think that's enough for me to say that that's the best Bulls team they ever had. Plus, I'm just very impressed by that Knicks series as well. So maybe I'm a bit biased.
Nah, that's not just you ain't biased, Mars. That's legit. That's legit.
Yeah, that's my reasoning for the 92 Bulls.
All right, y'all. We're gonna go ahead. This is a good time to go ahead and jump into some super chats. But before we do that, I do want to mention that the show is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy.
Brought to you by
Underdog Fantasy is the best way to get in on NBA action, whether it's the regular season, whether it's the summer league that's coming up, whether it's preseason. However, it doesn't necessarily matter. It's the best way to put up some cold hard cash and win some cold hard cash. You can win up to 20 times the amount of money that you do put in a contest per night. In just a single night. Imagine putting in $100 and coming out with, well, $2,000. That's a good bet for me, right? I would like that. That's nice, right? All you have to do is pick anywhere from 2 to 5 players. You choose their stat lines for the night, and you choose higher or you choose lower. How you can do this? Well, if you look in the comment section right there, at the top, we have a promo code right there. It says the panel. Click on that. Use that promo code, the panel. Create your profile, and right then and there, you can get into it. We'll catch up with you guys with a couple different contests in a little bit, and we'll get back to it.
Just real quick in the chat, this guy MOC said 88, 91, or 92 are the best versions of him. Actually, sir, just so you know, I think 89 Jordan was better than 88 Jordan. As good as 88 Jordan was, he won the Defensive Player of the Year. He led the league in scoring. 89 Jordan was actually better than him. And that's why I have such a difficult time when I see guys like Russell Westbrook and I see guys like Joker winning the league MVP as the 6th seed, because in the 1988-89 season, Jordan went 33, 8, and 8. He had 15 triple doubles that year. He never averaged that many points, rebounds, and assists again. He shot the highest field goal percentage of his career that year. He averaged the same amount of steals. I think he averaged 3 steals, 3.2 steals that year. The year before, and he averaged like around 3. I think it was 2.9. He shot around the same free throw percentage. The problem with that is, with him having a better season individually, the Bulls finished 6th in the East that year. Jay didn't sniff the league MVP. Magic won it going away. That's why I have such a difficult time with like guys like Russell Westbrook when he's winning the league MVP as a 6th seed, or when Joker's winning the league MVP as a 6th seed. When Jay in 89 went 33, 8, and 8.
MVP that year was Magic, right?
Yes, and he won it going away. The Lakers was in first place. But I'm sorry, Ron, if I interrupted.
You cool. Apology accepted, chill. All right, we're going to start from the top. Super chats from my man, Hitman44. He said, Oscar from Kentucky and Drew Timmy went undrafted, even though they are jump hook monsters. Is the jump hook really a shot?
No, it's not a bad shot. But which is kind of interesting, too, because I thought about this. I've been watching basketball a long time. I've been around basketball a long time. I can't remember. Maybe one of you guys can look it up. But I can't remember when the National Player of the Year was told to go back to school. The reigning national player did not get drafted. And a first-team All-American big, whose team was in the Final Four the year before, did not get drafted. I can't remember that happening in my lifetime. All in the same year. I can't remember that happening.
Yeah, the game's going in a very different direction. These
like
bigs, these bigs who are very, very big, but aren't tremendously mobile, don't really play on the outsides, and kind of just like low post monsters. They're not getting the same love they would have got 20 years ago, which is, I mean, it's unfortunate. I think they just grew up in the wrong time. The same way I said Draymond Green benefits from this era, there's a bunch of bigs who are just not benefiting from the fact that this era is the one they're playing. And I think it comes from, respectfully, I think it comes from Jahlil Okafor. I think Jahlil Okafor has ruined it for a lot of these bigs, because we saw how he went out in the NBA and how it looked bad. I think a lot of these like low post demons are kind of getting forgotten about unless they can really refine their skill set and extend it to be better than what it is right now. I think Drew Timmy's on the Bucks though. I think the Bucks gave him like a deal. I believe. I could be wrong, but I think they
wasn't Jahlil Okafor getting hurt?
He wasn't good before he got hurt though. But I don't know if he was getting hurt. I'm gonna be honest. I remember he had those issues off the court. He was getting into fights. I don't remember if he got hurt, and if he did get hurt, I don't think it really derailed much, in my opinion.
Nah, he wasn't playing.
His game
like
just
that.
didn't translate.
Unfortunately. Yeah, it just didn't
his
work.
game. Yeah, his game didn't translate. And on top of that, Mars, I don't really think he loved playing. I don't.
Yeah, his motor was bad. Like, he just wouldn't try a lot on defense. He wasn't a great rebounder. He really didn't do anything other than score on the low post, and he didn't do that good enough to really justify the playing time he was trying to get. And then Joel Embiid came back in his second year, and then his minutes just decreased, and then Joel Embiid was just so much better than him that he was no longer needed. And then he ended up in, I think, New Orleans, and it wasn't good, and now we haven't seen him in a minute.
Those type of players, though, like the two guys that he's talking about from the super chat, you get those guys if you're trying to play basketball. If you're trying to play ball, you get those guys. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to sell tickets, then unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, that's not the way of it no more.
If you're trying to play basketball, is good. It's either if you're good or you're not good, Bob.
Here we go. You
that's all it comes down to. That's all it comes down to. It's either you're good or you're not.
Are you nice or are you not nice? Which one is it?
Simple.
I don't.
He had a point. He had a point.
I mean, no, he got a point, but also too, you got to understand, and a lot of it does go with fit and scheme. But I mean, a player doesn't get National Player of the Year in college, doesn't get first team All-American in college and be garbage. That's impossible. It's impossible.
I'm not trolling up that serious.
Granted, though, it is dudes that don't get any teams in college. They might not get first team all conference. But if you can't teach 7 foot, can jump out the gym, can run like a gazelle, you can't teach that. And those are the guys that get drafted well in the first round, and those are the guys that tend to get a spot on the roster, go lottery, and things of that nature.
I think this. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mars.
I think this goes to the point that I was saying yesterday. Basketball and NBA are not the same thing. The NBA plays basketball, but not all basketball is NBA basketball. Guys like Drew Timme, Luka Garza a couple years ago, Zach Edey, they are very good at basketball, but their game isn't catered to NBA basketball. So people are going to say they're not good, when really and truly they are very good basketball players, but there's just so much basketball outside the NBA. But within the NBA, they just don't happen to fit with the way the game's going right now. And just being a good fit in the NBA doesn't mean you're a better player than someone who doesn't fit the NBA. But everywhere else, they're just really good at the game of basketball. Like, those guys are just really high IQ, understand the game, good touch, great in the low post, good rebounders. But people don't care, because if you're not good in the NBA, you can't play basketball. And I think that's just a very bad way of looking at it. But a lot of people just don't view basketball outside the NBA as a real sport, which is weird too.
Now, wouldn't that go to combat that, Mars? Wouldn't that go to the logic that a lot of these GMs aren't doing their homework? I mean, Caleb Martin was the player of the year in the WAC. That is a damn good league. He was the best player in that league. That's the league with Utah State and San Diego State, who was just in the national championship, right? That's a damn good league. He was the best player in that league. 6'7", run like a deer, like you mentioned, could put the ball on the floor, could do all of those things. He went undrafted. The reason why he went undrafted is because, number one, that league that he played in, somebody wasn't doing their homework. Meanwhile, the Miami Heat, who are smart enough to take a call. See, the Miami Heat are one of those teams, as opposed to the New York Knicks. If you got an inside source, Mars, and you call up the New York Knicks and go, yo, I got a kid that you might want to take a look at. The New York Knicks are the type of team to go, we're not interested in that. As opposed to the Miami Heat to go, well, they'll listen. Well, who are you talking about? Who is this guy? What does he look like? Maybe we'll bring him in and take a look at him. That's teams that actually understand what talent is, number one, and how they could help us. You got teams that just don't do their homework, which would explain why they're at the bottom of the league, why they miss on draft picks, why that their players don't turn out the way that they do. Because one, they don't develop them. Two, because they don't do their homework.
Caleb Martin went to Nevada, right?
He went to the University of Nevada. Yes, sir.
I think this is another thing that the NBA is really bad at. They don't like these older rookies. Like, if you come, they will prefer a one and done who didn't have a great year.
Jaime Jaquez? Dudes like that?
Yeah, like Dub doesn't like. Dub doesn't like. But yeah, they're gonna
take 2K player. That's what you're talking about.
Dub, you don't like Jaime?
The 2K generated player that we grabbed?
Yeah, Dub's not a fan of Jaime Jaquez.
I
haven't watched much of him, so I don't have an opinion. But I think the issue is the NBA teams will take a flyer on someone who has high potential in their eyes, who maybe didn't play well on the collegiate level, but they're 18 or 19 over the guy like Caleb Martin, who's going to be 24 when the season starts. They're like, well, what more can he really bring us? He's just going to be this level in college. Whereas this guy who's 19, he only averaged 6 points per game in college. But look, there's potential. And I think that's what teams are doing. And that's why these older rookies aren't getting as drafted as much, which is why I respect Denver. They took Jalen Pickett, who's going to be an older rookie, who I think is a very good player. I don't think his game is going to be made for the NBA, and I don't think it's going to last very long. But I respect that they're taking someone who is an older rookie, because a lot of teams just opt to take these 20-year-old rookies who aren't as good right now, but they seem to have higher potential, and most of them don't pan out anyway. But that's just
which doesn't make a lot of sense, Mars, because the idea of a 22-year-old coming into the league or 23-year-old coming into the league, that logic means that, well, he's not going to get better. Well, the all-time greats, they got better. That's why they all-time greats. I mean,
it makes no sense. Jordan came in at 21 and was still getting better at 27, 28. Like,
yes, exactly. These guys, I mean, Jabbar showed up. He was 22 years old. All the all-time greats, they went to school. In fact, I think a lot of these GMs would rather these guys go to school, but I think that they've gotten so much sucked into the wave of what's going on now that we have to do this now, as opposed to doing your homework like you did in the past and drafting a guy that fits the need of your crew, because everybody is not going to be LeBron James. Everybody's not going to be Devin Booker or Jason Tatum. You're going to need those other guys in order for you guys to win.
Yeah, I don't like the direction that the NBA's went in. I said it a few shows ago that I do think that these players gain a lot from college. They gain a lot from playing in those programs, playing in a more structured environment, learning the fundamentals, developing their bodies, practicing harder, being coached harder. Believe it or not, the college teams do practice a little more than the NBA, and the practices tend to be harder and more rugged. But even more so though, just having more experience coming into the league. But the NBA, believe it or not, it's a potential. Like the NBA teams are potential merchants. If you have potential, they're drooling over you. They're looking at you. The only thing that they care about is potential. They don't like the NBA. Each team is trying to find that next star player. They're not trying to find the next sixth man. They're not trying to find the next eighth or ninth man on the bench. They're circulating through those guys. They're trying to find the next star. Do you have a potential to be an all-star in this league? Yes, we want you. No, next person.
I think that kid from Arkansas, Anthony Black, he's a prime example of that, of a guy who they going strictly off potential. Don't get me wrong. I think that I think he can be phenomenal, but I mean, I just remember when I was coming up, a guy in college averaging 11 a game is not a top 6 pick. That's not going on. As a freshman, by the way. No, that's not going on.
Hey, potential merchants. They want to know how good you could possibly be. But all right, y'all. Let's keep it pushing on the next super chat. And Chill, you mentioned Oscar from Kentucky as well.
Sweet baby.
Yeah.
I love him. He gives me Ben Wallace vibes. That's the kind of vibes he gives me.
You still think he's going to be solid as an undrafted rookie?
I do. And not just as an undrafted rookie. I think in the right system, I think that he can play. He's going to play 10 years, 12 years. Because you need he's that other guy. I think he could possibly be an anchor on your unit as a defender, as a rebounder. I think he could possibly be that. And he can knock down the mid-range. So I did see that from him also. So if he can implement, if he gets into the right system in the NBA where he gets with a crew that can enhance his skill set, he's going to be around for a long time. I've said this countless times. I could teach you footwork. I could teach you how to slip blockouts. I can teach you how to block out. I can teach you all of those things. As a rebounder, stick your nose in there and go get the basketball. He has what is called a nose for the basketball. Guys like that have to be on the floor. We can't just have 5 out and think that you're just going to win every game with guys just going 5 out. We already seen that in Houston. We already seen that with the Philadelphia 76ers. You need those other guys, and he's those other guys that's going to help you win. 100%. I love his game.
NV with the super chat said, to clarify my suggestion yesterday, I meant players that you wouldn't know if you didn't watch their era, like JRich, Asia, Gerald Wallace, etc.
I actually dug Gerald Wallace, to be honest with you. I did. As a defender, as a transition player, I did dig him. Jason Richardson also. Yeah. He was damn good.
Dunk Champ was the man.
Yes, he was.
Steve Nash definitely don't like him.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Cold,
Hey,
bro.
but for real though, I think we remember Jason Richardson for all the wrong reasons, like just for being a dunker, and then obviously for the whole Steve Nash scandal. But Jason,
What was that
Richardson
about, Mars? I'm sorry. What?
It is alleged that Steve Nash kids came out with a bit too much melanin, and Jason Richardson was the culprit, allegedly. And then Jason Richardson got traded about a month later. So
it's not like it's alleged, but it's kind of like no.
It's alleged, but it's like we kind of know.
Was it an unofficial fact? Like this is go. We just
yeah.
Is it an unofficial fact?
What's the kid's name?
He was dunking in the wrong room. Chill.
I don't know the kid.
Jason.
And then Steve Nash got a divorce like a month later as well. So
Man.
Hey, Dub, was he windmilling or was he going through the legs?
oh my god,
Oh, I don't.
All right,
what? Don't
okay.
ask me that.
Jesus.
Crazy guy.
Pause.
My bad.
What did young guys say? Pause.
Pause.
I'm just going to back all the way off for this one.
I'm looking for this. I'm looking for this kid, man. I'm trying to see if it's really, if it's true. I'm going to decide for myself, man.
Uh-oh.
How was the kid?
We need a DNA.
Dub, this was 2007.
Yeah, this kid's like
2008.
17, probably.
Yeah,
17.
we need to get Mari in here because this ain't correct. Hold on.
That's what we need to know. Hey,
Yeah.
if he bouncy right now, then it's kind
We already know what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Dang, bro. That's terrible, bro.
Chill. I have a question because this is more your era. Like you're the only person. What did you think about Paul Pressey on the Bucks? Because for me, when I watched those Bucks team, like he's like the first like point forward I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So like I just want to, because you were around at that time. So like, what was your opinions on him?
I said to you yesterday, Mars, we talked about the best teams to never win it. He was on that Milwaukee Bucks team, and it was because he was one of the prime examples of how awesome that they were. So as good as Sidney Moncrief was as a defender, right? As good as Marcus Johnson was, Paul Pressey was the guy who relieved Sidney Moncrief of not just ball handling duties. He could also score the basketball, one of the better rotation players in the game, one of the best defenders in the game. I'm thinking about a guy in today's game. Think Michael Porter Jr., except he can handle a basketball and defend.
Think
pass. Think MPJ, except he can handle the ball,
Definitely
he can defend, and he can pass. Think MPJ. So that's who Paul Pressey was. Tough as nails, gets up and down the floor with the best of them, and he was really woven into that Milwaukee Bucks unit. Paul Pressey was fantastic. Yeah,
I think he'd be like much better in today's game where you actually gave him more ball handling responsibilities, and that's why even though Don Nelson never won a championship, I hold him in such high regard as a coach because like he just was so innovative, like with the things
he saw the future. He did.
Like he was playing guys like Paul Pressey as a point forward. He was using Dirk as a small ball five. Like he was just doing so many things that were ahead of its time, which is why I think Don Nelson doesn't get enough respect because which was weird during that time, Mars, because the primary ball handler was exactly that. So the small forward didn't really handle the basketball. You were the dude who just got out in the lane and you ran and you were the slasher. Paul Pressey was the guy, he would take the ball off the backboard and he would go with it. And these guys would get out the way and they would fill the lanes, right? He had a stop and pop game with him. And one-on-one, just offensively, one-on-one, he was one of the better one-on-one players in the game too. Paul Pressey was fantastic, though. They just couldn't beat the Sixers. That was the problem.
Fellas,
it's hard to be that super team, to be fair.
Yeah, they couldn't beat Philly.
Speaking of super teams, I don't think everybody got off their all-time starting five to save the universe. Did everybody do that? Yes,
we did not do that.
We did not.
I don't think anybody.
We did not do that.
We just started talking about Shaq and Wilt for some reason.
L host yesterday.
All-time starting five to save the world.
Yep.
Yeah, to beat Wembanyama's team. But I want to come. Go ahead.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my god. Okay.
So Wemby's team, Dub, it was Steph at the 1, Jay at the 2, James at the 3. It was Duncan and I believe Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was his 5. And again, Dub, this is to save the world. This is your 5.
And this is I could repick the players he picked.
If you would like.
Okay.
What's y'all list? Let me think about this. I want to think about this real quick.
Even if I couldn't repick them, I mean, if you giving me 5 guys to save the world, you'd have to let me repick those guys. So I'm picking Magic at the 1, who is the best distributor the game has ever seen. He's going to get everybody involved. I'm picking Jay at the 2, and Jordan's your bucket getter. I'm picking James actually, I'm not going to pick James at the 3. I'm going to pick Scottie Pippen at the 3 because he's going to do the other stuff. The other stuff that's going to make us even better, because I don't need another distributor and another playmaker, because I already got that in Jay and I already got that in Magic. At the 4, I'm going to go with Tim Duncan, and at the 5, I'm going to go with Chamberlain.
I'm gonna change it up a little bit, and I'm gonna go with Magic. I'm gonna go Magic, Steph, Bird, KG, and Hakeem.
I knew KG was
that front line of KG and Hakeem.
I'm glad you took my picks, bro.
Who's scoring on that line? Who scored on that front line?
I wanted to go with KG and Hakeem too.
Yeah, me too. I'm not gonna lie.
But I'll go LeBron at the 1, Mike at the 2, KD at the 3, KG at the 4, Hakeem at the 5. I think that gives me the best blend of playmaking, versatility, floor spacing, and everything I need really on my team. So I'll go with those 4. Those 5.
So I'm gonna go with Steph at the 1, MJ at the 2, Kawhi at the 3, KG at the 4, and then Hakeem at the 5.
Kawhi is a great pick. I
like Kawhi at the 3.
I was thinking Kawhi between Kawhi and KD. I think I'd probably favor Kawhi as well. I just can't go with Steph because for me, like if my whole team is 6-7 and above, like Steph's kind of like lost defensively in that situation.
True.
Like with LeBron, Mike, now Kawhi, I've copied you down. KG and Hakeem, like Steph he doesn't really have a place on the floor, which is why if I'm building my dream team, I'm just gonna have my team's gonna be quite tall. I don't think any 6'3", 6'2" guys are really gonna make it.
Nice.
The issue I have like with building teams with LeBron in it is like I have such a headache trying to pair him up with people. So I'd rather always try to stay away from it. Like it's such a headache trying to pair him up with people in like a good continuity. So I'd rather stay away from picking him in a lot of my lists.
I got to take Chamberlain off my 5, and I got to put Jabbar in there. And the same reason why I got to take Chamberlain off is because why I can't put Shaq on, because he can't make free throws. That's the downside.
That's why I went. That's another reason why I went with Hakeem, because Hakeem can make free throws. And he could just extend the defense out a bit further than guys like Shaq.
Because I want to pick my cousin, but I can't because he can't make it. I do.
He said he made them when it counts.
He did. Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and Dub, I hear you, and that's kind of why I've been kind of going back.
He's lagging
talent, and it's not because any of these guys are better, but it's just like I kind of like how Bob said. I wanted to do something a little different, and Bob actually went with the backcourt that I'm gonna be going with. I didn't expect you to go Steph in Magic, but I'm gonna go Magic, Steph, Kobe and Jordan got to play. Look, if the fate of the universe is on the line,
your team is tiny.
Magic's at the 4. Keep in mind, Magic's 6'9".
Who gonna rebound?
Shaq.
Who else?
Jordan and Kobe can get in there and get rebounds.
Oh my God.
Jordan and Kobe is crazy.
Jordan and Kobe can get rebounds. They rebounding guards. They athletic as a motherfucker.
You playing small. Y'all got a gang rebound.
Hey, I'm not really too concerned.
I don't see how you're dealing with KG and Hakeem on the gloss. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how you're doing that.
Hey,
KG, Hakeem, and we got Larry, and I got Larry at the 3.
They could run too. They could all run.
Yeah, I mean, KG's beating Magic down the floor defensively, in my opinion.
Facts.
Are we comparing teams or are we beating the?
Yeah, my team won.
It's the death of the universe.
We're trying to save the world,
I thought
bro.
it was against the Monstars.
That's what I'm saying. But we're talking about the Monstars. We're talking about the Monstars, Ron. We got to stop these dudes, and we got to rebound. And if I got Jordan, Magic, and Kobe, we got to rebound.
Hey, all I know is it's Kobe and Jordan. I can't pass up. And the team starts with those two. Like when you asked me the first 2 players I could get, Jordan, Kobe, and then we built from there. Only reason I just kind of wanted to do something a little different. I'm like the last 2 players was Steph and Bron. Yeah. And I'm like, Bron's the easy pick, but then I just keep thinking Steph is a cheat code.
If you want to say 2v2, I'll do Jordan and Kobe. But we're doing a 5-on-5. I don't know. I'm not sure.
2 and 2, I think you need a big. I'm sorry. I'd have to go Jordan and Hakeem.
Nah, you ever play 2K?
Actually, I'm not gonna lie. 2 and 2, KD and Hakeem. That's what I'm going with. KD and Hakeem.
Nah, boys, you ever play 2K, bro? You just gotta bring them out the paint and set them at the corner, bro. That's all you gotta do. They're done. They're done.
Ron, I knew you wasn't a man of the people, you know what I'm saying, because you don't never read all their super chats. But now I see that you're trying to put together a team to kill the universe, and it's like, no, you're not a man. I know you're not a man of the people now. You don't even love us enough to try to put together a competent team.
Power forward. Magic is a competent power forward.
Magic at the 4. Hey, we are the planet getting blown up with Magic at the 4.
What we are, and we play a stretch ball. So what's the difference between me putting Magic? Because if I would have said LeBron, nobody would have said anything.
I don't like that neither. I don't like LeBron James at the 4.
Still too small. Your team's still too small.
Hey, we got the D, so we'll be all right.
Oh my god.
Drink more water with the super chat. He said top 5 best regular seasons of all time.
This is a great one, actually. I love this question.
So wait, the team or the player?
Oh man, that just killed me.
Players. Oh no. Yeah. Best regular seasons, like everything.
Or just the season, like the 2015 season, for example.
2016. 2016, I think, is the best season I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. Craziest season ever.
Regular season or
regular season, dunk contest, the record,
the All-Star
Kobe
game,
retiring. Yep. That season was phenomenal.
Damn. I can only pick from years of 2016 and after, anyway.
Yeah, me too, because I didn't witness everything firsthand.
I mean, like, still, I can't say I haven't gone back and watched the whole 2002 regular season, so I'm just going back and watching games and teams and stuff. So my grasp is just of the last like 7 years.
Well, I missed so much of that 16 season. Like I didn't watch a lot of the games. I didn't even watch Kobe's last game, bro. I missed a lot of that season.
Dang, bro, that's hurtful.
I'm upset. I was upset about that too.
There's a select group of people who chose to watch Golden State break the record against Memphis instead of Kobe's last game, and I know they regret that decision.
L people,
yes, they do.
L people.
Yeah, I was one of those people, but I know they regret that decision.
Because you regret it, or
you regret it?
No, I had both games on at the same time.
Oh, okay.
But I was definitely more tuned into Kobe when he was going crazy. So.
Mm-hmm.
So what years we doing, fellas? What years we doing?
88. First time we had a back-to-back champion since the Celtics did it.
Okay.
First time we had
damn, that's true.
2001.
First time we had a back-to-back NBA champion since the Celtics did it. First, we had never had a player in NBA history win the Defensive Player of the Year and the league MVP in the season.
First thing that comes to my mind when I hear 88.
The dunk contest was, you talk about the dunk contest in 16, Dominique Wilkins and Jordan in the dunk contest. I'm a kid and I'm like this at the TV.
Year.
I was glued to the television. That was
Larry
the most.
Bird in that 3-point contest that year?
Not only was he in the 3-point contest, he didn't even take his warm-up off. I just want to put that out.
That was that year. 1988. Mike Clear. 1988. Mike Clear.
He didn't even take his warm-up off.
That's goated.
He didn't take his warm-up off. So probably when I think about the best regular season, 1988. I'm thinking about that one. 16 that you just mentioned.
2001, because that was like the peak of AI, Kobe and Shaq Lakers when they went on their run. I don't remember the dunk contest though. Because I think Vince Carter's was in 2000, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Vince Carter's was 2000.
Who won the dunk contest in 2000?
I don't want to cut people off with their nostalgia, but Drink More Water said by a player, so we're not.
But
I am definitely enjoying the conversation. And 1988 sounds elite.
I think that's. I don't think that's that difficult. Like we just talked about 88.
Yeah, you mentioned 88. Is that at the top of the list?
Yes.
Do we go there and do we start there and then move on from there from 88?
88. I think we started 94 to be honest with you.
Well, Hakeem.
Yes. I think we started 94 because in addition to winning the league MVP and winning the Defensive Player of the Year, they also won the NBA championship. And he was the finals MVP that year. That had never happened in NBA history. They started the season.
It's regular season though.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So even regular season, they started the season 22-1. They only lost one game to start the season. It was like 22-1. It was rolling to start the season. Let's
2016
see.
Steph got to be there.
Steph has to be
up there.
2013
Braun. I think 2013 Braun and 2018 Braun needs to be up there too. I'm not even gonna hold you.
Are you sure though, Dub? Because 2018, bro, that's the same dude who I saw earlier in the season.
Remember just regular season, Dub? Because remember January 2018?
That boy was having game winners and then got everyone traded right after, man.
Well, just so you know, Ron, just so you know, Dub,
that's the shaky for the Cavs.
Yeah, that's the same dude, Dub, that during the season said, "quote I don't even think we should be on TV." That's how bad he thought it was going. So
I think 18 LeBron. I think 18 LeBron is a playoff more.
Yeah,
playoff more. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. 2013 LeBron then.
James, 88 Jordan, 94 Olajuwon,
2016 Steph,
2000 Shaq.
I was just getting ready to say that 2000
Shaq has to be there.
Definitely 2000 Shaq. Just missed the league MVP unanimously by one vote. Finished second that year in the league.
Someone voted for Iverson, right? It was Iverson.
Yes, they did vote for Iverson. I almost got in a fight with him because of that too.
Do we know? Do we know?
I gotta hear this.
Know who it was?
Shaq name drops him a lot. I can't remember his name, but Shaq says his name a lot because he wrote Shaq of unanimous MVP.
I forgot to write his name, but yeah, Dub, I almost got in a fight with him over that because
with the guy or with Shaq.
With Shaq, we almost got in a fight because in 2001. When Iverson won the league MVP, I thought he should have won it because considering what had happened that year, you know, how good they were at the top of the Eastern Conference. And he went off on me because I felt like that. And I told him why. And I was giving them legit logic. Listen, man, if you take you off this Laker team, y'all still a 7th, 8th seed in the Western Conference. If you take Iverson off of Philly, they Cleveland. I don't care about that. Relax, big. Listen, I'm just trying to make a point here because I ain't saying that you ain't the best player in the league. I know how you feel about being the league MVP, and I know that you feel like when you're the league MVP, you're the baddest mofo on the planet. I do know that for a fact. I'm just saying I understand why they gave it to Allen. That's it. All right. That was the end of it.
Hey, I want to bring up, and I just seen in the chat, so I'm gonna copy it. 2017 Russ. That's got to be one of the craziest performances I've seen.
I'm not mad at that. I'm really not.
It's one of the most crazy and entertaining, but just from of how well they played in the regular season, I don't have that over 86 Birds, 87 Magic, a bunch of Jordan seasons, respectfully, quite a few LeBron James seasons. 2017. LeBron, I would argue, was probably better than Russell Westbrook, but
nah, fuck that. He averaged double, bro.
But from an entertainment,
I'm with you, Dub. I'm with you on that.
I don't have 2017 Russell Westbrook over this year's Jokic.
I feel you, Mars, as like a player. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Being the first dude to average a triple double. On top of that, bro, dude was hitting game winners. Let the league.
I agree. If you put it in the top 5 based on how insane it was, I agree. I think you can make a case for it being top 5, just how crazy it was, but just how well they played. I don't think it's top 5. But top 5, it was mind blowing watching it. I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's going crazy.
Yeah,
but I just don't know about overall play if it was top 5.
I feel what you're saying, as a player, and I get that. I get that wholeheartedly. It's just I don't know, just watching that firsthand, bro. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life, bro.
So what about
it was definitely nothing short of spectacular.
What about 06 Kobe?
What's up? Say that again, Mars.
06 Kobe.
I was a youngin at that time.
I was about to say this. I was getting around to this 35 a game, right?
35 a game.
81.
He was fantastic. 62.
Hey.
In 3 quarters.
Yep, insane. So
he's
awesome.
in there for me. Hey, I don't say what you want. He's in there for me.
He was first team all defense that year too, by the way.
That first team all defense and average 35. Yeah. That's crazy.
The first team all defense was questionable.
Hey.
He got it. I mean, credit to him. He got it. I mean, I don't know if he really deserved it, but he got it. So I mean, credit to him. 03 Kobe deserves a shout as well because when Shaq had the foot injuries, Kobe I think he had 9 games straight with 40. Something like that.
40 a game. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, 03 Kobe is also in there with a shout. I think 09 LeBron has an argument. Because 09 LeBron might be the most athletic player I've ever seen. It was ridiculous what I was watching.
Almost like a video game, right? Miles, he was just running faster than everybody else.
It didn't make. He had the sliders turned all the way up, and I'm like, what the hell is this? So 09 LeBron's probably up there. I mean, you probably have to like throw like 74 Kareem, but I don't really want to go.
I don't remember.
No, I do. Let's do this.
Hey.
The reason why I'm not like trying to put like 70, because there's just not a whole bunch of games available for me to watch. So I'm basing that on like maybe 7 games. I'm like, I don't know if I can really do that. But 74 Kareem, just like from a statistical standpoint and from what I've seen, is probably up there with a shout, because he was probably the best offensive and defensive player in the league. And I don't know how many people can say they were the best at both at the same time.
What about Wilt though? We have yet to mention Wilt.
There's a reason I didn't mention him. There's a reason I didn't mention him.
So you don't think that Wilt has one of the top 5 all-time regular seasons?
Which year?
It's no season. I don't know.
61-62.
He's gonna say 50
61-62. 100%.
That's when he scored 100 and averaged 50.
Yes.
Allegedly scored 100. But yes, that is that year.
Yeah.
He was third in MVP that year, right? It was Russell.
Fourth. No, I'm sorry, third. He was third.
Russell, Oscar Robertson. I think Elgin Baylor.
Just to give you an idea, when you guys talk about top 5 seasons, just so you know, Elgin Baylor finished 4th that year in league MVP voting. He went almost 40-20. I just want to put that out there, just so you guys know. But a guy like, I believe the last 15 games of the season, I'm not going to say. I can't say with 100% certainty, but Chamberlain, like the last 15 games of the season, he was averaging something like 65 a game. I know that sounds goofy, Mars. I know that sounds goofy to say that, but yeah, he had like 3 or 4 70-point games, something crazy like that. He was averaging like 60 or 65 a game, like the last 10 games of the season, or something crazy like that. He averaged 48. He only missed 1 game where he didn't play the entire game, right? And the reason why he didn't play the entire game, that 1 game, is because he got thrown out for fighting. Other than that, every other game, 81 of the 82 games, he played 48 minutes.
He averaged the entire season. Games, and he averaged like 48.5 minutes because he played every minute of every overtime as well.
Every minute of every overtime in every game. So to average, and I'm not even on the 50 a game. Like he averaged almost 27 rebounds a game that year.
It's crazy.
On average, like so on a Tuesday, I'm 27 rebounds. And a lot of people will say, you know, it's real easy to do that against farmers. Well, when you got 8 teams in the league, the talent isn't nearly as spread out. In fact, it's even more condensed. So I got to see the tougher competition even more. And to dominate that competition as much as he was doing is phenomenal.
For me, what's the most impressive? You kind of alluded to it. He played every game, every minute of every game that season, and they were playing at the highest pace ever. You know how taxing it has to be on. Remember all the conditions they were playing in as well. They didn't have the luxuries of today's game, and he's playing every minute of every game, like 80 games I think they had back then. Like that's ridiculous to never.
With Chuck Taylor's on, by the way, not Nikes today, or you know, hot tubs and ice baths and chartered flights and things like that. No, we got to jump on a train and go to New York. And
they would have games where they'd have 3 games back to back to back. Like they didn't. Right. They would not just back to backs. They would have 3 games in 3 nights, and he's playing every single. Like that's ridiculous.
And Chuck Taylor's.
That's what to me gets the most credit, because that's
touching the top of the backboard.
Yeah, that's
crazy. All right, fellas.
Wait. Can we go back to the seasons, bro? Because I was actually intrigued with that one. Because we got the 88 season, the 2016 season.
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing the 2001 season?
2000.
That 2001 All-Star game
was just season in general.
Just season.
Yeah, we're just doing seasons. That 2001 All-Star game was fantastic with Jason Kidd and Iverson and Vince Carter and Bryant. It was in DC. That was a great All-Star game. What was special about that season, though? Just the regular season. What do you think was special about that season?
Just the run with like Allen Iverson. You know how he was captivating everyone, and the cultural impact, along with the dominance of Kobe and Shaq, and how they was come together and dominating the playoffs. That's strongly where I'm basing my opinion off, along with just the talent as a whole. I mean, you still had like Tim Duncan there, Vince Carter coming out there, Kevin Garnett. So. I mean, that's just me. I don't remember like the slam dunk contest or the 3-point contest like that, but That's
I don't
why.
remember
That's
this,
why.
man. I don't remember this. I don't remember who won the dunk contest in 2001. That's interesting. I forgot who won the dunk contest. I remember the Lakers were going through a lot of turmoil that year too, between Shaq and Kobe in 2001. I mean, they did end up winning 56 games, and they ended up turning it on late in the season and in the playoffs. But I mean, the Philadelphia 76ers to have, and I don't think have we had that since they did it. I mean, they had the coach of the year, they had the defensive player of the year, they had the sixth man of the year, and they had the league MVP on their team. Have we had that since they did that?
Oh my God, I didn't even know they did all that.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
So the league MVP, that's Allen Iverson.
So,
Larry Brown was the coach of the year. And Mutombo was the defensive player of the year. And Aaron McKee was the sixth man of the year.
dang. Oh man, that doesn't help my argument for Allen Iverson not having help.
No, that's the thing. His help was defensive, but they traded for Dikembe during the year, so he wasn't just defensive player of the year solely on Philly. They traded for him.
But with that being said, Mars, Theo Ratliff was up for defensive player of the year.
Yeah, he was. He was.
So it wasn't like they traded him for somebody who wasn't that good.
It wasn't like they traded Cat's defense for
no, they didn't. Theo Ratliff was up for defensive player of the year that year too. So
yeah, that is true. But yeah, I don't know if 2001 would be top 5 because I think the playoffs is what probably puts it out there. But like, I think. What year was it where the West, where like you needed 50 wins to be the 8th seed?
I think that was in the 2000s. I think that was
2001. Couple seasons, wasn't it?
Yeah,
but I want to say 2007.
Yeah,
I think it was a couple seasons though too.
Like 08, I think it was 09. I think it might have been 09 because I think that's the year where Phoenix missed the playoffs and they had like 47 wins.
They had 44. They had Shaq on it, and they had 44 wins that year, and they missed the playoffs.
Mars, that year, the 8th seed, that year in 2001, the 8th seed had 47 wins. Yep. The next one up was 50, Portland.
I want to say 2012 was that year that it was either 2012 or 2013 was the year the Warriors made the playoffs and they won 50 games as a 7 seed, something like that.
The chat saying 2010 where OKC had 50 wins and they were the 8th seed.
Till 2010, yeah.
And they ended up playing the Lakers in round 1, which is like you win 50 games, and you have to play the reigning champs in round 1. It's like Jesus Christ.
So, how many wins did the Lakers have at the 1 seed? Like, how close was?
I think they won 57 games that year.
57. So 7 games separated.
No. Oh yeah.
I think they won 57 games that year.
That's fire.
That year is a year I'd probably say is up there because that's insane.
What does that say about the NBA at that time? Like, what does it say about
that all the talent was in the West?
Yeah, the West was so much better than the East. The East was Boston, Orlando, Cleveland, and then that's really it.
Which was kind of ironic because if you look at how quote unquote the talent was distributed, if you look at the NBA champions, so you did have in a span of as tough as the Western Conference was, you had a span from 04 to I believe 08. Yeah, from 04 to 08, three times in 5 years, the NBA champ came out the East, which is kind of contradictory to all the talent being in the West, but the NBA champ is coming out the East. You had twice in 3 years the NBA champ came out the East. In 06, the Heat won it. In 07, the Spurs won it. In 08, Boston won it.
Hold on, you said the Spurs.
Spurs was West.
Yeah, 2 and 3 years.
That's what I'm talking about. Twice in 3 years.
I mean, it goes the same 04 to 06 as well. It was Detroit and Miami. And then in between, it was Detroit lost in game 7 the other year. So it's like they were right there. Like, it could have been East, West, East again. It could have been.
Right. Meanwhile, the talent in the Western Conference, I mean, it was clear that the talent in the Western Conference was distributed different because I believe at that time, only a third of the All-NBA players was from the Eastern Conference. Only a third of them. And you're talking about 15. You're talking about a 15-player squad, first, second, and third team. When you got only 5 guys in terms of the entire squad, 5 guys from the Eastern Conference making All-NBA, and not even first team All-NBA, by the way, just All-NBA. It was obvious that the talent was all in the Western Conference.
Mars, in 2008, that's when they had all 50-win teams. Lakers was at top at 57. Chris Paul's Charlotte Hornets, that was the New Orleans Hornets. They had 56. Spurs had 56 as well. Jazz had 54. The Rockets had 55. Suns had 55. Mavericks had 51. And the Denver Nuggets were the 8th seed, and they had 50 wins.
And they did everything that they could, by the way. And just so you know, Ron, they did everything they could, by the way, to keep that league MVP from Kobe Bryant. They wanted to give it to Chris Paul so bad. They did everything they possibly could to keep that league MVP away from Kobe Bryant. But they couldn't. And it would have been foul if they did, because he was the league MVP that year.
And the Warriors were 48-34 and didn't make the playoffs.
That's what I was thinking about.
That's crazy.
Yeah. 48 wins get you the 8 seed. I think 48 wins. I think that year in 08, I think 48 wins get you the 4th seed in the East, if I'm not mistaken.
You said 48 wins?
I think 48 wins in 2008 get you a top 5 seed in the East.
Yeah,
48 wins would have got you number 4. You would have been better than the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh, you're the 4th seed in the East in 2008. Meanwhile, you barely making the playoffs in the West with 48 wins. They just made the playoffs.
They missed it. They were the 9 seed, right, Ron?
Yep.
They missed the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about
this year? This year, 48 wins. Sacramento Kings, number 3 seed.
That's crazy.
Are you alluding to the West being watered down now?
I think it's more even 1 through like 11. I think there's only like 4 teams that were just bad. I think every other team was just pretty good, which is why there's more parity.
If there was ever a team to do the 1 through 16 playoffs, those were the times.
Facts, I agree. Because the West should have had like 11 playoff teams.
Yeah.
Do you think the league should try to like manage that? Where if we have one season where all these guys is winning like 50 and 48 plus wins, like then we do 1 through 16. But if we see an even gap between everybody, then just do East versus West. Me personally, I like the 1 through 16 thing, but I'm just asking you guys the question. Yeah,
I don't think they should change it back and forth. Like they should stick to one. I'm with the 1 through 16 all the way. We talked about it before, where I think that every team should play every team 3 times, East and West. You know what I'm saying? What would that make it again, Mars? 87 games. 87 games. Yeah, so 87 games instead of 82. Everybody plays everybody 3 times, and we do the 1 through 16.
You know that's not how it works, though.
I know it's not how it works. I'm just saying, like, it should be, though.
I feel you, but they need that.
The players aren't going to agree to extra games. That's the biggest problem.
Aren't they already about to put the middle of the season tournament in? That's 5 more games anyway.
But I didn't understand the rules. I didn't understand the rules to that.
So those games count towards your regular season games, and furthermore, outside of that, yeah, they do.
They're a part of the 82 run.
Yeah, unless you make it to the championship, and the teams that make it to the championship, they actually are going to play an extra game. They play 83 games.
I guess
what's 5 more games just even out the league? And you can still have Eastern and Western conferences, but just take away divisions and just keep conferences.
My thing is like the league as a whole has made the adjustment to try to give you guys as much break as possible to not play like so many back-to-backs. So if the league is like, yo, can you play 5 extra games for me? Like it should be like people don't have give and take relationships anymore, right? It's always give me. So like the players need to have that understanding that, yo, if the league want to put 5 extra games in, they've done a good job of trying to limit y'all not being out there. So screw it. Like just play 5 extra games. It's not like the All-Star game. Y'all don't even play in the All-Star game anyway. So I think the players they're stuck in this mindset of we could do whatever we want, and I don't have to care about what they trying to get going on. I don't think that's a good way to think about things, man.
And I also think, Dub, that when you hear 5 extra games, you hear 5 games right behind each other. Like, we could spread 5 games out through an 82-game season. It's not like you got to play 5 games back to back to back to back to back. No,
exactly.
That's less than 1 extra game a month. That's all it is.
On top of that,
that's like an extra
utilize.
That's like an extra week and a half, right? Extra week and a half of regular season.
That's it. Like 1 extra game a month.
Yeah, bro. It's just people just. My bad, Bob. Go ahead. I'm about to go on a rant.
real quick before you do. I just want to. So there's 15 players on each roster or 12?
Yes,
15.
15. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, you got 5 more games. So for some games, you go to your bench a little more. Let these guys get a little bit more burn. Help develop your young guys or something. I don't know, but 5 more games isn't a big deal. I don't think just to even out.
Not to mention, I mean, let's call it what it really is, Big Ox. When you're making that much money, bring your ass to work. What's the problem?
Man, that's a
what's the problem?
Man,
I'm asking.
Put me up here, Ron.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm asking you to work one extra day. I'm asking you to work one extra day, like every other month. That's all I'm asking you to do. It's not like I'm asking you to work.
I'm asking for one more day.
That's it. One extra day. That's all. I'm asking you to work one extra day, like every other month. That's all throughout the season. And now this is a problem with all the bread that you're making. Man, get out of here.
And then not only on top of that, the things that we try to do for the fans, right? Like the All-Star game, the All-Star weekend slam dunk contest. Y'all don't even do that anymore. Y'all don't even care about that anymore. Y'all don't do none of that. Y'all don't put no effort out there. And now the sit here, the content is watered down because of y'all. It's like, yo, what the hell, bro? Y'all making millions and millions and millions of dollars, right? And you would think you would have the mindset of, all right, I'm making this much money. You guys doing your best to take care of my needs from a health perspective, limiting our back-to-backs. And it wasn't like it was 10 or 15 years ago. Like you would think I would have the mindset of, you know what, y'all was looking me out. I'm going to look y'all out. At least playing extra games or giving you guys some good content out there for an all-star game or actually competing in some slam dunk contests. But no, y'all would just sit here and bitch about shit. Like the world's end there, like it's that big of a deal for y'all to just be out there and just go out there and play. Like that's the problem with this generation, bro. Like it's just too many people like complaining about stuff. I ain't gonna say the word again, so I apologize, but they just always complaining when you have everything going for yourselves, everything going for yourselves, but you're still gonna find something to complain about and give a reason, a bullshit ass reason on not to do something. And it's ridiculous, bro. It's ridiculous.
Now mind you, I'm the older statesman up here, so I'm kind of set in my ways with certain things, and I'm still a fan that the Eastern Conference Championship means something. The Western Conference Championship, I feel like those things mean something because rivalries are created throughout those. So with that being said, I'm not 100% on board with the top 16. That's why you have 8 teams in the East, 8 teams in the West, because I think the idea of defending the Eastern Conference Championship. So if you're trying to get to the NBA Finals, the road to the NBA Finals goes through South Beach. So if you're trying to get to the NBA Championship, you gotta come see us. If you're trying to get to the NBA Championship, you got to go through the Rocky Mountain. Mm-hmm. That's just how that works. And I think that teams in the Western Conference, they get themselves together to go up against Denver. Teams in the Eastern Conference, they get themselves together to go up against the Miami Heat, to go up against the Boston Celtics, as opposed to now what we're doing is we're going to eliminate that, which is going to eliminate rivalries. And again, I'm a little bit older, so I don't want to get away from that.
I see your point with that, but don't you think that like a 1 through 16 would sit here and create more opportunities for a rivalry to happen, right? Because now we can have Miami Heat seeing Denver more in the postseason. Now this could string along a rivalry. You feel me? Or like if the Miami Heat or the Boston Celtics, now they got to play the Lakers even more, and that's already a stable rivalry that we could get more out of. So I think I hear your point with like the East and the West and keeping that up, but the 1 through 16, I think it does create more opportunities for more rivalries to be created from other than the East and the West.
But the difference with that, Dub, is that to the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat, well, I'm only going to see that rivalry in the playoffs, and that's not really going to lead up to anything, because if they play in the NBA Finals, that's all I have, as opposed to the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference, where they play in the regular season, and they're the number 1 and the number 2 seed. I get to see that in the playoffs, too, and I get to see which one of those teams is going to end up in the NBA Finals, as opposed to having to wait all the way to possibly the NBA Finals to see the Denver Nuggets.
So if we go off of Bobby's thing of just 3 games, right? That means it's only 3-game series, best out of 3. So let's say the Nuggets facing the Lakers and they get those 2 games in the regular season. All right, now we can settle this in the postseason. Lakers, they can settle that in the postseason with Boston. I think it does create more opportunity for rivalries to happen if that's something that you are worried about, because now we're putting in the 5 extra games along with the 1 through 16. And I think that would be good. I think that would
well, Dub, think about this. We never got to see Bron and Kobe in the playoffs. If we went 1 through 16, maybe we would have.
That is a big regret. I would have liked to have seen James, and I thought I was going to get that. I did. I thought I was going to get James and Brian in the finals. I did. I was disappointed.
Kobe was waiting for him.
Chill. Be lucky. Tickets not here today.
Yeah,
but
one of them let us down.
Yes, and we already know which one was the one who let us down. Yes, I was very disappointed in that because I was looking forward to that NBA finals. I was.
With that being said, though, I do like the fact that it's so much more potential for any team to play each other. So obviously you got the 1 through 16 team. If it's a tight playoff race, it could be 6 different teams in contention for that 16 seed. So it's like we'll get to see it, just the potential of matchups. It will be dope. Like, it could be I don't know. It's just so much more potential for things to just go with 16 different teams and all of that. I would just like to see like a series that we would never expect. Like, let's say the I don't know, the Miami
Celtics and the Trailblazers.
Yeah, something like that. And like obviously the Celtics are a better team, but it's just like it would just be cool just to see that in a playoff series that we've never seen before. See
Phoenix and Washington, or Phoenix and the Knicks in round 1. Something like that.
Do you think they'd have to go back to the 2-3-2 format for this to work? Because I don't know the longest distance teams apart from each other, but I don't think teams want to go West Coast, East Coast for games 5, 6, and 7. I think they'd probably just rather the 2-3-2 format. Do you think they'd
Miami and I believe Miami and Portland. I believe Miami and Portland is the furthest distance, and to go, but with the travel the way it is and how much better travel is, I don't think that would be an issue. I don't think that would be an issue considering where they stay, the amenities that they have, the having to worry about flights and things like that. I mean, all of this stuff is first class. So the fact that, they do it in hockey all the time. The fact that Boston would have to get on a plane and fly to Portland, I don't think that would be a big deal as opposed to having to sit in an airport on a commercial flight for 3 hours and wait. No, we get right on the tarmac. We're out there. And
what is that, a 5-hour flight?
Something like that, like 5.5 hours.
Jesus Christ.
It's not that bad, Morris.
Nah, it's not that bad.
Across a country. It takes me 2.5 hours to fly to Spain. A whole different country. Like,
that's because y'all countries is the size of our states.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Mars.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's 2.5 hours for you to fly from there to Spain. Well, it's the same as me flying from here to New York. It's about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
All right,
some countries are just too big, man. Just make the country small.
We got more super chats to get into.
Yep.
Jersey Love tapped in. She said, if she or he, I'm not sure, but appreciate you for donating. They said, if I'm not mistaken, Jonathan Simmons paid $250 to try out for a summer league that same year in Orlando, then ended up getting a big contract with Orlando a couple years later.
Yeah, I heard something about he paid for a tryout and then
ended up. I think, did he end up in Orlando or did he end up with Pop?
Philly. He ended up in Philly. Remember?
He was with the Spurs first. He was with the Spurs. Then
that's what I thought about. I thought he ended up with Pop first.
Sure.
And then I think that's Orlando, and I think he ended up in Philly.
He signed that free agency deal in Orlando and then got traded to Philly.
$50 for that tryout, and Pop saw him and was like,
"Yeah." But when he signed, he got that free agency. He got that contract with Orlando, and then he was involved in the trade to Philly, and he got benched by who was there? Brent Brown.
Brett Brown was there.
Brett Brown was their coach.
How many years did he play? Because he was good.
I liked him a lot.
4 years.
Something like that.
4 years. So he had like an average length NBA career.
After Philly, he ended up in the playing with the Santa Cruz Warriors.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he was with the Santa Cruz Warriors for a minute.
All of that for a $250 investment. I'm doing that. I'm 100% doing that. $250 investment to make all the money that he made. I'm doing that. Yeah.
And Brett Brown should have been playing him a little bit too.
That's why Brett Brown got fired. That's why. He was part of the problem instead of the process.
He was a bad guy. He was a real.
It wasn't the problem or the process. It was the problem.
He was the problem.
Trust the problem.
There's a lot of things wrong with that.
That's why I'm telling you, Ron.
So stupid.
What's it called? Monty Williams, Philly. That was his job. The problem is that Brett Brown, they ended up winning that first round series. If they lose that first round series, he's out. And Monty Williams is the head coach in Philadelphia. But because he won, Phoenix came along and they offered Monty Williams the job. So he couldn't wait. They was waiting for him to lose. So goodbye. And Monty Williams is the guy.
Bro, that whole
you know what though? Those trials though. My bad, Doug. But I was just gonna say those trials, those G League trials, those are pretty cool. I did one a while back. Like I didn't make the what you call it, the training camp team, but I got invited to like the last day when there was only 10 of us out of like 200, and like so I got invited back to the last day. But that experience though is dope for guys like younger guys that are trying to make it professional and stuff. Like if you watching and they still have those tryouts, like I suggest y'all spend that little 200 or 150 whatever it is now to go to those tryouts. You'll see you'll see a lot about how like NBA tryouts and workouts, how they're set up, how they work. Like it's a pretty dope experience.
Yeah.
Just really quickly, Mr. Old Man Jenkins, when I said the NHL does it all the time, I'm talking about flying across the country in 7-game series where they go 2-2, 1-1-1. That's what we were talking about. So stop trying to worry. Stop trying to trip me up and see me lying. You dudes, you have such this appetite for wanting to be right. Y'all so goofy with that. Doesn't make any sense. We up here talking about basketball. Nobody's up here particularly trying to lie about something. To lie is to deceive you. I'm trying to lie to you to tell you that, yo, listen, in the NHL, this is what they do. Ha, 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 ha. What the hell? Goofies?
Yo, chill.
Oh, my God.
Hey, I was chilling with my man Ox just last night, and it was an episode last Friday that he missed. And it was you, Low, Ticket, me, and that's when we was bringing some guests up here. And it was a moment where Low he got to you and Low were going back and forth, and Low had a moment where he got to just when Low gets in his bag and he starts to laugh and yeah, right, yada yada yada, and you mimicked him. I don't know if you remember this. You
gotta throw the arms up. Throw the arms up.
Woo! Do not leave that part out, boy.
Whoa.
Low get going, boy.
Yo, chill. When I tell you, I watched that back probably like 10 times. Oh man, I was crying. Damn. Whew. Good times, Morris. Good times.
That's my man, Low. Let me tell you.
Khalil Young said, I've debated the 0-1 Lakers versus the 18 Warriors, and I always thought the Lakers would make that a series because they more than likely would control the pace because of Shaq. I think Kobe picks up Steph, Fish chases Clay, and Harper and Fox can help on KD or whoever.
Yeah. I could get with that.
I don't like Kobe on Steph, but I do think the Lakers probably win the series.
I don't like him on him the whole game, Mars. I don't like him chasing.
I like him in crunch time. I like
right.
Him. In crunch time,
I don't like him chasing him the whole game. No, we got to give him a break because Steph will run him into the ground if he had to chase him the whole game.
If Kobe could lock up Kyrie, man, he could do it to Steph, bro.
The whole game?
You talking about that one possession where he blocked Kyrie's shot?
Hey, that's all we need sometimes, man. That's
all we
need.
You need a little bit more than that, dog. That's not enough, yo. That's not enough.
Also, too, Steph's much harder to guard than Kyrie. You gotta factor in that off the ball, Steph is a demon.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
You're just thinking you're thinking just strictly on ball.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm thinking back. I'm just thinking guard playing defense.
That stuff is dangerous. What Steph Curry does. But I wanted to ask you that, I wanted to ask you that too, Ron. When you talk about Steph Curry's off the ball action, is that a product of that Golden State Warriors offense?
Absolutely. That's all Steve Kerr's just. I like to call it coaching genius.
But you don't think that Steph moved without the ball on his own in college?
No, he did. I think
it's pop. I think it's pop. Like Steph, you got like from being this tall. I'm guaranteeing you, Dale was telling Steph and Seth, if you want to be an effective shooter in the NBA, you got to be able to run without the ball. You got to move without the ball. I guarantee he's pointing out Rip Hamilton, Reggie Miller. Watch this. Look, watch how he's never standing still. Look at his feet. Watch how he's always in position to shoot. Get his feet set, squared up to the rim. I guarantee these are things that Steph been doing all his life. So I can't say that this is a product of Steve Kerr's offense.
Right. I remember watching Steph speaks about Reggie Miller. Steph always speaks about Reggie Miller and how Reggie Miller and Steve Nash are the two people who he really patterned his game after. And I think Reggie Miller, other than Steph, I think he's probably the next best thing when it comes to moving without the ball. I mean, obviously Rip Hamilton's probably up there, Ray Allen, but for me, it's Reggie Miller would be the next best thing after Steph. So I think Steve Kerr put it in a situation where Steph had to, he was asked to do more without the ball. But even with Mark Jackson, there was still a bunch of plays where they'd run elevator screens, they'd run pin downs, they'd run a bunch of things to get Steph open off the ball even then. And he was just really good at it. I think Steve Kerr just made him do it more because that was his most effective way. So it's both of them, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then
that's what I was thinking.
Thing I also want to throw in there too is you got to understand it's a lot of dribble handoffs and a lot of screens that are thrown to Steph too that you have to get around to try to guard him. And that's some of it happens organically, but a lot of that is a part of the offense. Free Steph up, get him open. Throw these guys at the defender. So you said what?
Never mind. Mars
Yeah, but nah. I definitely think a lot of it's Steph, but Steve Kerr got something to do with it as well.
It's terrible basketball. Terrible.
It's not real. We're not real hoops.
They're cheating the system, Ron. That's all it is.
What with the moving screens?
Yeah, for sure.
Those moving screens are egregious, bro.
Bro, I be getting mad watching them play, bro. I'm a Warriors hater. I will say that. I am a Warriors hater, but
Dub, it's not regular moving screens like they just leaning over there. I've seen them like offensive linemen protecting the quarterback type.
Facts. They extending their arms and everything, bro. It's like
whistle not getting blown.
Whistle not getting blown at all, bro. That's why when what's his name? I think it was Bill Walton or somebody. I think it was Bill Walton. He was talking about how he was seeing a game being reffed. He's like, bro, this ain't even the basketball I even grew up on. Like, y'all just, he said, I counted like 30, 35 travels, like 60 moving screens, like 70 carries. He's like, what the hell is this?
Darbovi's Cameron is 60 years old. That's crazy.
Word.
Just sound like a real old head today. But there was illegal screens back in the day. It's not new.
Nah, not like this, though.
I remember when John Stockton made that game winner against Houston. Go watch that play. That was the most egregious illegal screen I've ever seen. But I mean, it doesn't get called. And now he has a great game winner. So
I think it was Rick Barry for the chat. It was Rick Barry, but it don't happen with like the Warriors. Mars, stop it. You know that.
Oh no. Golden State's the biggest criminals when it comes to illegal screens. I don't know.
Mars, I think more of those illegal screens was kind of just like giving a little extra check when they come through, or you know what I'm saying, or when they're coming around, you kind of just like
the Utah Jazz power forward was holding him back.
Oh, okay, yeah. So what you're talking about, I agree with what you're talking about. I'm just saying, just like overall,
in general,
in general, I don't think screens in any generation have ever just been stand still, take the screen. Now, there's a lot of, there's been always something, but the way the Warriors actually move their feet in the middle of a screen, it's egregious.
It's egregious. And then for everyone saying Miami does it, sure, I don't like it either. Like, what the fuck does that mean? My bad. Go ahead. I just don't like that. Like, you bring up a team that does it as if like it's like like she'll say, I got you moment. No, like I don't like it either when they do it. So why are you even bringing that up?
Because they think that you won't speak against your team. They don't think you can be objective because they're all speaking from a place of bias. So they think that you couldn't just be objective and say I don't like it even when my team does it. It's just emotion speaking.
So shall we carry on with some super chats, y'all?
Yeah, Ron's not here, so let me.
You got it? No, go ahead, Mars. You got it, Mars.
Okay. Devin said, which backcourt would you take at the moment? Scoot and Sharp versus Green and Thompson, being that they are so similar. And why would you pick? Whichever one would you pick? Why would you pick them over the other? I'm biased, so I'm taking Jalen Green and Amen Thompson.
I'm taking.
First of all, Sharp is not starting over Simons. So let's start there. So I'd much rather Scoot and Simons because I think that they're the future of the Portland Trail Blazers. Even though Green and Thompson are the future of the Rockets, but I think these two. I think Simons being there for as long as he's been there and becoming what he's becoming. I just like what that backcourt can turn into.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Jalen Green's better than Shannon Sharp. I know that for sure. Mm-hmm. So it's just got to see what Scoot.
He ain't Jordan good though, Mars. So chill out.
Haters gonna hate.
Relax, Mars. Let's chill out on that. Okay.
Not yet, Mars. Not yet.
Yeah, let's chill out, Mars.
We'll see.
I don't.
Okay, go on, Dub.
I don't believe in Jalen Green like that. So I mean, I'm gonna go.
What am I coming back to?
Not Mars though.
Wait. So Dub, can I
that's
ask you this?
terrible.
Of those 4 players, is Jalen Green the best though?
You could probably argue that. But when Chilltown added Simons, I'll say Simons for sure.
Anthony Simons is not better than Jalen Green.
Dub, I cannot get behind that.
I don't think he's better than Jalen Green, but I think what we got to remember, Mars, is we ain't talking about these dudes as individual players. We talking about them as a duo.
As a backcourt, I agree.
Just like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum individually are not better than Leonard and Paul George, but as a duo, they are.
Okay, they're just better. They're just better than their knees. That's all. You know what I mean,
yeah.
I guess that's a part of the game.
It's a different question, but of those 4 names, or 5, I guess, Scoot, Sharp, Simons, Green, and Thompson, who do you think will be the best? Like 10 years down the line, who will be the best?
That's a great question too, Mars.
For me, it's Jalen Green. But I'm biased.
I'm sorry.
Unless Scoot really ends up being ridiculously good, I still got Jalen because I think Jalen's really going to be the top.
I don't have Scoot number 2. I don't have Scoot number 2.
I think this kid Simons is an all-star, yo. I don't think y'all giving Simons as much credit as number 1. I think that Trailblazers did a really good job at number 1 hiding him and then developing him and turning him into what they've turned him into. And I think he's just gonna get better. So now once they phase Dame out, which and I don't want to make it sound like we kicking Dame out like Dame by, but Simons now can turn into that player that they were developing. I think he's an all-star.
Is he gonna? You're saying is he gonna be an all-star? Is he? I think caliber.
I think he's an all-star at some point. I mean, we're talking about a guy. I think when Dame was out of the lineup, he was averaging something like 26 a game.
Yeah, he was.
When Dame was out of the lineup, so like 26 and 5, 26 and 6. He was
doing this 2 seasons ago, Chill.
And that's what I'm talking about.
During the last, I think, 15, 20 game stretch, and I was at these games. This is when my cousin was playing for the Blazers. He was averaging like 20. I want to say it was mid-20s, somewhere 24, 25.
Yep. So add Scoot to that. Backcourt, a competitor that's the main thing I love about Scoot, the fearless competitor that he is, and to become a better distributor. So him playing off of Scoot, I think they could just get better. I don't know the kind of distributor and the kind of playmaker that Jalen Green is going to be in the future. Is he going to get much better than he already is? I don't know, Mars, to be honest with you. I think Simons, on the other hand, I think that ceiling could be higher.
Yeah,
I would say this.
Oh, go ahead, though.
For all these Jalen Green guys, bro.
Why did I let you go ahead?
I'm sorry, Mars. You know what? It's like Jalen Green. It reminds me of he's like the person like you see so much potential in, bro. And you try to, take it serious, but then once you realize after a little bit, it's like, dang, you really fucked up.
Dub, it is only his second year, right?
I know.
It's not too late for you to
be fair.
Let me just buy some Jalen Green stuff.
I could be wrong.
Dub, I believe this jump from year 2 Jalen to year 3 Jalen, I think we're gonna see a completely different guy. And I've been on record saying this, and I'm gonna say it again. I think we get at least 25 from Jalen this year.
I think he got Udoka down there now.
I think he's going to buy in defensively as well. I think he's going to
because what this sound like? Hey, Dub, is Jalen Green is Jalen Green the super fly chick that you find out you ain't really that smart? I don't know if I should be saying. I don't know if I should be hanging
Dub's calling Jalen Green J.R. Smith. That's what he's doing right now.
Is that what you're doing, Dub?
That's what he's
doing.
No
way. I believe
I didn't say that.
That's what he's doing.
I believe it was Big said he like his chicks brainless. I'm gonna go ahead and buy stock in Jalen Green.
Yeah, it's what Chill said on top of here, man. That's just what it is, bro. I don't see it, man. I just don't. I hope
the fly chick that you find out you ain't really that smart. I don't know how far to go.
Then you just be saying some stupid stuff. I have to be looking at you like, what the hell are you talking about?
Wait a minute.
You guys, Dub, you're gonna be wrong, and it's perfectly fine that you're gonna be wrong. I've been wrong about players too. So I mean, it is what it is.
Hey, but I will say. Go ahead. You got it, Mars.
I am very high on Simons. People who've been watching for a year, I was saying last year that Anthony Simons was better than Jordan Poole and Tyler Hero. I'm very high on him. Mm-hmm. But of this group of players, yes, I think he's better than Jordan Poole. Tyler Hero, maybe, I don't know, probably, but I don't know. But I think of these guys down the line, I think he's going to be the worst of all of them. And that's not trying to be disrespectful to him. I don't think he's going to be very good.
Dang.
But I think Scoot's going to be better than him. I think Amen Thompson is going to be better than him. I think Jalen Green's going to be better than him. And Shaden Sharp is my backup Jalen Green. So I also think he's going to be better than him as well. So
I think he ends up being the third option on that team?
I think they're going to trade him. I don't think he's going to be there long term. But
why not though? Because he's still young enough to fit along that timeline with those guys. He's 22, 23?
I think as of now, other than Scoot, he probably has the highest trade value, and I think Scoot and Shaden Sharp will probably be that backcourt going forward. And that's no disrespect to Anthony Simons. I think he's very good, but it's like if someone has to be the fifth best of the five people, and I just think it's going to be him, and that's all I'm trying to say. So no disrespect to Anthony Simons with that.
Gotcha.
Fluent chiming in and saying the Rockets are signing Fred VanVleet for $80 million.
Is that true? Or
4 years, probably.
Yeah, I'm going to Woj's Twitter right now to see if I'm going to be an OKC fan or not.
Didn't Shams get bodied? Didn't Shams get bodied because he tried to say Scoot was going second? But then
for the fan.
Nothing on Woj. Nothing from Woj.
Yeah,
so.
FanDuel.
L fluent cut.
I'm in the minority because until I hear from Woj, I don't believe it.
Same.
Me too.
Same.
That's who I am. I'm until Woj tell me, I'm like, all right, whatever.
Look, got 4 eyes over there with a big ass forehead, bro. He a genius.
I'm good.
Yeah, but Mars, to kind of get back to the initial topic, I got him in being the second best out of all of those guys.
Of course you do. That's John Wall at worst.
Exactly. So with that being said, and I got Jalen Green being the best.
So wow with that.
I see something special in the man. That's all I can say.
Listen to that for a second. Like at worst, he's John Wall. John Wall had a 5-year stretch where he went 20-10. At worst, this is what you get
by that.
Does he have a mixtape like John?
Damn.
By that logic, Ron, the Rockets are going to be the best team in the West in about 3 seasons.
Yes.
You know how I feel about Jalen Green.
Not 3 seasons.
You have to.
I know.
No. Here's what I'm saying. I'm not going to be just disingenuous to his growth process and his maturation process. I'm not saying they're going to be the best team in 3 years. It might take him 7 years to become that good. But I do see a good stretch of seasons where he averages somewhere along the lines of 19-8, 19-9 at the least.
So we got to wait 7 years for him to turn into John Wall. That's what you're saying. Give him 7 years.
Even if we wait 10 years.
I'm not about he only 19. So if he 25, 26, and he 19-8, I'm okay.
I just want to see what type of game we playing, Ron. I just want to know if we playing the long game. Like, is this a 7 game?
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like we playing the long game, big guy.
We just talked about that earlier when Chill was like players get drafted at 22 and from 22 to 28, they were still getting better. Hey, Jordan got better continuously up until 90. So it's like, it's going to take him some time.
I do think a man has the second highest ceiling, but I also think he probably has the lowest floor of all of them because I think he has the biggest range in what he can be. Like if anyone in that top 5 of the draft is going to be a bust, I think he's the most likely, which is kind of disappointing. But I don't think he will be.
Bust is crazy.
It definitely going to be no John Wall. I mean,
that's super wild, yo.
John Wall is crazy,
insane.
John Wall is crazy if that's the floor. Like if he can be as good as John Wall, all right, I'm cool with that. But like at worst, right? At worst, this is what you
That's
get.
what the floor is, isn't it?
So what am I getting at his best though? Am I getting Oscar Robertson? So for 8 years, am I getting 30, 10, and 9?
I told y'all at his best, I see a Penny.
I like
Penny Hardaway.
Yeah.
I don't
see Penny.
Why do we want Penny Hardaway? Jamal Murray is
it Penny Hardaway? Wait. Is it Penny Hardaway? Let me be asking. I'm just asking.
Are you about to say is John Wall worse than Penny? No. Stop, don't ask the question. No.
John Wall's worse?
John Wall is not better than Penny Hardaway, though.
That's what I was gonna ask.
No, bad question.
No, he's not.
Penny Hardaway's better than John Wall. Right?
Yeah,
it's not even a question. It's not even nothing to think about.
Our question.
Why say he could be worse?
No, John Wall is the floor. The ceiling is Penny Hardaway. That means that.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
So basically, Ron's saying that the Rockets just drafted somewhere between John Wall and Penny Hardaway.
Not somewhere between that. Either those two. There's no in between. They either got this dude or this dude.
It's a healthy in between.
Ain't no in between. You either got this dude. This is the worst of these two dudes. This dude right here. This is the best.
Russell Westbrook.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Hell no, bro.
You ain't about to. You haven't to say Russell Westbrook is there with the team.
I'm not. I'm not gonna play in those gray areas.
Whoa.
Leaf
So wait,
Diggy.
could he potentially?
Yo,
we're
dropping
Jamal
memes
Murray?
all off season long, bro.
Oh, Jamal Murray's a bit above Penny Hardaway. So
that's what I'm saying. Can he get?
No,
there?
he'll never reach Jamal's level. If Jamal's level's above Penny, he'll never get to Jamal.
Exactly.
Chat. Are you good or are you not good, bro? That's all we got.
Are you good or is he not good?
Or not good? Simple. Keep it simple, bro.
I can't believe KD said that. Anyway, Ron, you were reading the super chat. I'm sorry.
Leaf Diggy said 2017 Golden State Warriors was down 25 to Kawhi. They sent out Zaza for the bounty. They would have lost to the 2019 Raptors regardless.
Talk that talk, Leaf Diggy.
A little bit of Golden State Warriors hate, but
that ain't hate. It's just facts. He's just giving us the history lesson.
That's a fact,
Jalen Carter said the 2014 Spurs had the greatest ball movement of all time and played amazing team defense. This team is beating any team in a 7-game series.
It was the most beautiful basketball that I'd ever seen. And if they would have played the Heat 10 times, they would have beat them 9.
So how do they fare against the 17 Warriors?
They lose in 6.
That would be an amazing series to watch.
I'd love
Actually,
to.
I'm not even gonna lie. Nobody has that Spurs team beating the Warriors.
I could see it happening. I don't know.
I could see.
I don't know if they
It's
do,
possible.
but they're good.
It's possible. I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah,
Like if they like Cho said, if they play 10 times, I'll give 7 to Golden State. 6. One of them, 6 or 7.
I think
6,
that's
4,
fair.
7, 3. There we go.
Devin said, y'all not considering Steve Kerr coaching against a team he played for. That would give them a huge advantage. Anyways, Bulls and Six.
Yeah, I ain't doing it with that. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not doing it with that.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Me neither.
Kuzan said it would have been dope to see Draymond guard MJ.
That's clamps right there. That's clamps. Draymond has the IQ.
No.
God damn.
You're lucky Draymond can never prove it, but
Who is Draymond supposed to be? Like
clamps. That's what he's meant to be. It's meant to be clamps. There we go.
A little bit of Ron Artest mixed with a pinch of Gary Payton in the trash talking department, mixed with I don't know who's rim protecting comp is.
Mixed with Mike Tyson.
Mixed with Mike Tyson. Ooh. Jordan Poole can attest to that. Mixed with a little bit of Scottie Pippen, and then you just throw some Kawhi in there too on top.
Exactly. That's what Draymond. Yeah, Draymond's looking up Mike. 22 points on 40% shooting. That's what Mike would do.
Oh, don't forget also a little Jason Kidd. You know, he's
facts.
Thickest Pilot 9 said.
No way, Cho just did that. No way. Wow.
You dude's rubbing off on me. What can I say? You dude's rubbing off on me. What can I say?
I love to see it.
Thickest Pilot 9 says, shout out PC Unleashed. Great content. For y'all, break down all-time Shaq and all-time Wilt. Who do y'all got? I think Shaq will use his mass, but Wilt strong.
What, in a one-on-one? Is that a question?
5-on-5. Just match.
Oh, Shaq's better than Wilt. To me, Shaq's better than Wilt.
What are you basing that on, Mars?
Well, it depends on the version of Wilt I'm picking.
Let's go with the version of Wilt who was not really thinking too much about scoring the basketball. Let's not go with the version. Let's not go with let's not go with that dude. Let's go with the version of the version of Wilt who was the glass cleaner, the bucket getter, the rim protector early. And let's go with the version of Shaq. Let's go with the Lakers Shaq.
That's closer because Wilt was the second best defender in the league behind Bill Russell or Nate Furman, depending on how you feel. So second or third. One of the better playmakers in the league at that point. Probably the best rebounder. Still, I think he was probably the most efficient scorer in the league at that point. Like when he just stopped.
I think he had a 6-year stretch where he shot over 60% from the floor for 6 straight years, something crazy like that.
So I think that's closer, but I still think Shaq is a better playmaker than Wilt. Just the amount of attention he drew, his playmaking out the post was just more consistent. I also think he was a better scorer. than Wilt was, especially at that point. Just you couldn't stop him inside. The volume was higher. He didn't take away from his teammates as much when he did try and score. Played better without the basketball. Somewhat due to the rules, but also Wilt Chamberlain just didn't really punish you with his physicality as much as Shaq did. But then defensively, Wilt was just so much better than Shaq was. I'm still going to take Shaq because I think offensively he was just a lot better at that point. But I do think if you want to argue like Philadelphia 76ers Wilt versus peak Shaq, I do think it's a conversation. Just that one, like those 1 or 2 years in particular. But I'll still take
the separator with me is how Wilt took advantage of what he was good at. So the fact that as a legit big, his ability to rim protect and how he dominated at that aspect, his ability to rebound, how he dominated at that. You know, the fact that and Mars and I, not Mars, I'm sorry, Dub and I had this conversation. I mean, even though Shaq was rebounding at a high level, right? Shaq was rebounding at a high level, but Chamberlain dominated on the glass. I mean, we're talking about a complete glass cleaner, holding teams to one shot. Chamberlain's ability to run the floor, as good as Shaq was in transition, also Chamberlain getting up and down the floor in transition and doing what he does great, getting around the basket, and whatever works, which is him scoring the basketball right at the rim, they had nobody to stop him. So if Shaq and Chamberlain are locking horns, Shaq is not going to be able to bully Chamberlain. Chamberlain is not necessarily going to be able to bully Shaq, but defensively, I think Shaq would struggle because how Chamberlain would just come right to the rim, bury him under the rim, and continuously do that. I think Shaq would kind of move away from that a little bit more, considering how big he is and how big Chamberlain was, because he did the same thing with Yao Ming and try to score in a number of different ways. Chamberlain, on the other hand, would just continuously pound on Shaq. He could hit the fall away. He could do that sort of stuff, and then his ability to rebound and speed the game up, I would have to go with Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain was also a worse free throw shooter than Shaq as well, which
not much worse.
The years I'm talking about, he was pretty bad. The years I don't know what happened. It was pretty bad.
Yeah,
I do know in this. This is something I just know in the '67 playoffs. I think he averaged damn near a triple double. Wilt Chamberlain,
close to it.
It was like I think he averaged like 20, 29 and 9 or something. Like 29 rebounds, by the way. Like
29, 9 and I think 8.
Yeah, it was something.
29, 28, and 8, I think he averaged that. That's why when I be hearing y'all talk about joke of this, I'm like, yo, Chamberlain in 67 was impossible.
Yeah,
what the hell?
It's something like that. But I think Shaq, I don't know if Shaq really would fall away from his inside game as much. Because for me, from me watching Wilt, he would fall back on his finesse game a lot more than Shaq would from me watching. And I think that's because it's probably because he had better touch than Shaq did anyway. So he just felt he could do that. But I think that does play more into Shaq's hands, whereas I think Shaq would probably be more physically imposing in those type of situations. But those two are probably the most physically dominant bigs ever.
So what Shaq did when he played against bigger guys. So for example, him playing against Yao, what he did was he dragged Yao a little bit away from the basket. He's not dragging Yao 15 feet away from the basket, but he's dragging Yao into that mid post right around that mid range and now beating him to the basket with his athleticism. He'd have a difficult time doing that with Chamberlain because Chamberlain was just as good, if not a better athlete than Shaq. And his ability to recover was fantastic. I saw him. I mean, I watched film of Chamberlain going up against a younger Jabbar where his ability to block shots, his ability to recover, and Jabbar trying to beat him with athleticism just didn't work. So now we got Shaq being back to just brute force. Well, that's not going to work because Chamberlain being ridiculously strong, he's going to be able to hold his own ground. And I think he would get up for Shaq also. Just the idea of going up against Shaq, I think that would motivate him.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I don't know how, and this might be me, I didn't play basketball, I don't know, but someone of Wilt's frame, like he was very strong, I'm not doubting that. But when you compare his frame to Shaq's frame, there's something about like I don't know what the word is. It's
big
like
body,
mass. His mass.
No, his mass. But I mean, like where his weight comes from versus Wilt. It's like it's more. You see when
Shaq was more bottom heavy than he was top heavy.
Yeah,
Shaq was definitely more bottom heavy.
It's like when you stand on both feet, your weight is more evenly distributed. But when you stand on one leg, it's more force on that one leg because it's holding more. Like Shaq seemed to just have his force more distributed in one way versus Wilt, where it seemed to be like more evenly distributed.
Right.
But I think Shaq could overpower Wilt in that way, where his power distribution just seemed to be so much more than what Wilt Chamberlain was. Where he was just strong, but I think Shaq just could throw his weight around better. If you get what I'm trying to say,
I do. I can get with that. I can get with that.
I'm trying to like.
But my counter to
we get what you're saying, though, Mars. We get it.
I do get what you're saying. But my counter to that is Chamberlain being as smart as he was, and Chamberlain could also throw his weight around. I mean, Shaq, he gave up. If you're talking about in those Laker years, I believe Shaq played at about 325. I think he played at about 320. Chamberlain played at 275, but it was not only a lean 275, it was a super duper strong 275. So in terms of Shaq throwing his weight around, because again, Shaq was more bottom heavy than he was top heavy. Shaq's unique ability to bury guys, especially smaller guys, underneath the basket. Well, I think Chamberlain's ability to slip Shaq. So when Shaq would come into the lane and try to bury him, Chamberlain's ability to slip Shaq because of the defender that he was, or his ability to wait on Shaq. So when Shaq would come in, because Shaq was not only strong and physical, Shaq would throw a lot of bows. Chamberlain was welcoming that physicality. So I think that those two guys locking horns in just terms of a physicality, I think Shaq could throw his weight around, but I think Chamberlain could counter that with how he was able to play defense.
Sure. Do you rank Rick Smits?
Do I rank Rick Smits? I don't rank Rick Smits among the all-time greats, but I think he was one of the better bigs of his era.
Mm-hmm.
He gets disrespected a lot. I don't.
Yes, he does.
When they say, "Oh, Shaq went against nobodies in the finals," and
the Duncan Dutchman was the real deal.
Yeah, I don't like that. Like Rick Smith,
especially
in the 90s, Rick Smith was really good. I don't like when people do that, but shout out to Rick Smith.
Mm-hmm.
He was also big. He was like 7'2", 7'3".
Keep going, Moss. Keep going.
7'4".
Something like that, yeah.
Jeez, yeah, I knew it was big. I didn't know he was
big dude. Yes, he was. He was not 7. He was bigger than that.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was like 7'2", 7'3". But...
Mm-hmm. The Duncan Dutchman went to Marist College.
Big Mac said, just jumped on the panel as a Bulls fan. I can say the 92 Bulls was an all-time great team, but the 96 team was devastating when you had Kukoc in that small lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue against the 96 Bulls in many situations.
Me neither.
Shane Howard said, what's up, fellas? I don't know if you guys seen Cat's current and all-time shooters list. If so, what's your thoughts? And do you guys think he's the best big man shooter over Dirk?
No, he's not.
Yeah, he's not better than Dirk at all.
And I don't care. How about you do some dirty work? How about that?
Thank you, Chid.
How about that?
Thank you, Chid. The fact that that's what he's hanging on to, and that's the title he's aiming for, just shows a lot.
You shooting the long ball. The reason why y'all lost to Memphis, the reason why they got Rudy Gobert was because the stuff that he does, you weren't doing it, even though you could do it. So I don't care about that. Do some dirty work.
I'm pretty sure Kat had Paul George on his list because it was on Paul George podcast. So I don't really care about his list. I'm not gonna lie. So
and then you put Paul George on there just because you're on this podcast. You a chump.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty because I did watch that interview, but I can't remember the list. But I'm pretty sure he had Paul. It was like Steph.
He called him
I think it was Steph. I think it was Steph, Clay, Paul George, himself. He might have had Dirk in there. I can't remember.
If anybody has the list,
do not tell me that Mars, he does not have Paul George as one of the best shooters of all time.
I'm pretty sure he put Paul George on it. But
what are we doing, yo? This is like I'm cue the clown music, please.
I mean, if we go off of total threes, it's like
okay.
My thing is, it's more for me about the meaningful threes. Like you knew Dirk was making shots that were meaningful. Cat's threes.
So Ray Allen's better than Steph.
Well, I mean, we've had this conversation before, y'all. I'll do it again.
I mean, but Steph's made meaningful threes though. Like we're comparing Steph and Ray Allen
in 2016. What happened in 2016?
Comparing Steph and Ray Allen is completely different than comparing Cat and Dirk.
Ray Allen can create a shot on Kevin Love.
Don't be about 2018 either, Dub, when Kevin Durant was doing everything he could to give him that Finals MVP. He was doing everything.
And then Steph's out there 3 of 16. Exactly.
He can't do it. He was doing everything he could to give him that Finals MVP.
What's your word? He was being whack.
Straight whack.
Hey, y'all, but speaking of Ray Allen and certain things, we were talking about teams that we believe can beat the 2017 or 18 Warriors, which a lot of people perceive as the greatest team of all time. And Oxy said something earlier in this Super.
Mm-hmm. Did we
for
lose?
bringing up the 08 Celtics is crazy.
What an L guy.
You're muted, but
why you got
you might want to stay muted.
You got some raggedy ass Wi-Fi, Ron. You keep glitching.
What an L guy, bro. Did he say you might want to stay muted? Is that what you said, Ron?
Why? Because I brought up the 08 Celtics?
Yo, I don't know.
Bobby bringing up the Celtics is crazy.
Why is bringing up the Celtics crazy? I mean, they did have the defensive player of the year on their team. They were one of the better defensive teams in the game. And that's how you're going to beat the Warriors. You're not going to beat the Warriors matching them offensively because you don't have that. So you're going to have to slow them down defensively. So they did have the defensive player of the year on their team.
Does anybody up here have the Celtics, like realistically, do you have the Celtics really beating the 17 Warriors?
I don't have them winning. But I also think, I don't think they're just out. I don't think it's a sweep. I think 6 games.
Because I do think the Celtics are going to tough a win out, maybe even 2. They're just gonna they're gonna make that's. I think that's what they're gonna do, Ron. I think they're gonna make the game ugly. I think they're gonna slow the game down. I think they're gonna make the game murky. I think they're gonna make the game more physical, which goes back to Mars's point. Like, when are we playing? Are we playing in 2008 or are we playing in 2017? Where the whistle is a little bit different. Where the physicality is a little bit more different.
Let's say we are playing in 2008 then, shit. Let's say we're playing in 2008. Okay.
Now,
well, the Celtics have the best post player, the best defender. They got the best shooter. They got the best point guard. They got the best ISO player. Celtics look like they
got the best what?
He did say that. Yes, he did. You heard him right, Mars. You heard him wrong.
They got the best ISO player. They got the best defender.
You heard him, Mars.
Postman.
one more time, Ox, for the people.
They basically got the best team.
In 08, the 08 Celtics versus the 2017 Warriors, they have the best point guard. They have the best shooter. They have the best ISO player. They have the best defender, and they have the best post players. They have the best, and they have the best bench.
And he's talking about the Celtics, by the way. He ain't talking about the Warriors. He's talking about the Celtics.
Yeah, Rajon Rondo is better than Steph Curry. Facts, dude. Facts.
I said they have the best point guard.
I guess Golden State just didn't have one. Great.
I didn't say Rajon Rondo was better than Steph Curry. I said they had the best point guard.
Wait.
Same thing.
Steph Curry's a shooting guard.
Well, there we go, right there, dude.
Yeah, I'm cooked. I mean, did the Celtics have the best coach too?
They had Yo,
why y'all gotta drag Doc into this?
Now wait a minute.
They had Doc and Tibb. They had Doc and Tibb.
So that's better than Curry and Mike Brown?
Yeah.
At that time, now remember, Mars, we haven't seen 3. Hold on, Mars, because here's the thing. This is a conversation because if we're only talking about
Rivers is bad.
Okay, he is, but we know how bad he is today because we've seen 3-1 meltdowns and things like that. We didn't see that back then. We saw a dude bringing a unit together to become one of the better defensive teams in the game, one of the better offensive teams in the game. Also, we hadn't seen. We also saw Tibbs, who put together a defense that was it wasn't arguably, it was the best defense in the league. So we don't know the meltdown Doc Rivers yet. We don't know that dude yet, Mars.
He was failing with Boston before he got a super team. They were winning like 25 games.
20,
okay, well, you know, Mars, I will concede that. Yeah, I will go ahead and say that's the only thing the Warriors got action in is possibly having a better coach.
Possibly, okay, maybe, arguably.
Hey, but it's one thing. So I'm going back and I'm looking at this Celtics roster, and it's one thing that moves the needle a bit for me. And it's not a superstar name, but it's a defender. It's actually 2 defenders, but it's one in particular. Yes, I like Tony Allen on Steph Curry. I love that.
And the vets too. And the vets too, though, Mars. We can't leave the vets out like Sam Cassell and PJ Brown.
I agree. James Posey and those.
James Posey. That was another name I wanted to say. James Posey.
James Posey is who I thought he was going to say because I think they could put KG at the 5, go kind of small, and then have James Posey, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Rondo. That type of dynamic. I don't know. Was Tony Allen even like getting PT like that?
He was. He was probably playing like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
15 minutes
playing.
again.
He was getting run on that crew.
Okay.
He tore his knee up 2 years before that, though. I think it was 2005 or something like that. But he was still good.
I must have been watching games where he weren't there because I don't remember him getting.
Tony Allen put in big minutes for the Celtics. Not when I say big minutes, I don't mean like a lot more minutes, but all his minutes were big though. You could be
good and only playing 20 minutes. You could be big time. So
yeah, like Alex Caruso this year.
Facts.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then also Eddie. I like Eddie House coming off the bench too. He played an integral part coming off the bench, sparking threes and stuff like that. Now, with that being said, I mean, I still want to go around the room, and I want to ask, like, chill. What do you think the Celtics?
Don't forget Kendrick Perkins, bro.
Oh yeah,
I think the Warriors ultimately beat them because I think offensively they're just too much. As good as the Celtics defense was, I think ultimately the Warriors offense is just too much. But I don't think they mopped the floor with Boston like everybody thinks. No, I do not think that.
I'm picking against Doc Rivers.
Dub, do you have the Warriors or the Celtics?
Oh my God, are we serious? Are we kidding? Nah, I'm going with the Warriors, fam. I don't care how good that defense is, man. I mean, I just think the defense of the Warriors can combat the Celtics offense far better.
Yeah. I do think that Celtics offense is heavily underrated, especially after going back and looking at that roster. I think they pose a problem for them. And on top of that, my biggest thing is, what are the Warriors doing with KG?
Draymond Green, clams. What are we talking about?
Oh my God.
Draymond Green.
Mars has reached his limit. He's at his limit now. Here it comes. He lasted a lot longer.
There's only like 10 minutes left, man.
Damn cars.
We knew it was coming. Go ahead, Ron. I'm sorry.
You know what? Wait. Now that I think about it,
here we go.
With the versatility that I think that the Celtics can play, and that's something they struggle with physical defenses, especially versatile physical defenses with defenders like Allen and KG there and Rondo. Hey, why not? I mean, Tony Allen did play great defense in 2014 against Kevin Durant.
6 years later.
So he got better legs. He got better legs, more.
Okay.
So why not? My bad. You got it, Bob.
Yeah.
And I'm not trolling. I'm dead ass. It's a good one.
I really think so. I think it would be a great series. I'll say that. I'll say it'll be a great series.
Doc Rivers will probably blow a 3-1 lead in that series, and then Boston will lose.
He can't do that.
Like I've said before, if you have a 3-1 lead and your team loses it, that's just as much on the players as it is the coach. You get the point guard.
It's on everyone. Yeah, it's on everyone.
And the thing about it is, a team like this, and I don't really like to say this, like a coach has to coach, but it's certain teams that you can coach to a lesser extent. You don't have to, give them everything. You don't have to scheme up everything. You don't have to go over the top like what an Eric Spoelstra would have had to do with this year's Heat. I do believe Doc had the capabilities of just sitting back and letting Paul Pierce coach on the floor, Ray Allen coach on the floor, KG anchor the defense on the floor, Rajon Rondo, you're an elite point guard. Like in terms of orchestrating offense, I can sit back and rely on you to do that. I got Sam Cassell, I got James Posey. All of these guys are in their own rights basketball savants. They have great basketball minds. He doesn't necessarily have to put them in the position to be as successful. They can coach themselves on the floor. So I do think that Doc Rivers can fall back on that. And I even think like that those years, Doc Rivers did fall back on that. As you can see now, like just his blunders as of lately, I think back then it was a lot of times where KG and Paul Pierce carried him through some of those series and stuff like that.
Carried is a strong word.
I mean, you guys are gonna respect Draymond Green at some point, but super chats.
Read that one. Julius Irvin said, if KD Warriors weren't the best team ever, why do a lot of people say those rings don't count for KD and Steph? But teams who would beat them, the rings count? ?
That's a very good question.
Call Ticket.
That's a very good question.
But Ticket thinks the Kings will beat them, actually.
Yeah, he thinks the O2 Kings would beat them.
The best team.
It was spitting. I was listening to that in the airport. I remember. I remember like it was yesterday. And I was like, I've never agreed with taking more than I do right now.
That's actually a very good question. I'm not going to lie. That's a very good question. But all rings count to me.
Even the one
other than
Disney
the
World.
other than the bubble. No, that didn't count. No. But other than that, yeah.
Drink More Water said in 20, 30 years, which modern day offenses will be remembered like the triangle, motion, and the Princeton offense? Same with defense.
Well, nobody really talks much about the Princeton offense, but people talk a lot about the triangle because the triangle was revolutionary and it got adopted by other teams like San Antonio that just added their offense, added their mix into it. And that Laker team, what it ended up turning into. So with the Bulls, with that dynasty, 6 times in 8 years, they won the NBA championship running the triangle offense. The Los Angeles Lakers, they won the NBA championship, I think 5 times in 7 years running the triangle. So I think that I think the triangle offense will be definitely more, and it was more innovative than the Princeton offense and the motion offense because it was a combination of the two.
I don't think like most offenses, I think now are just taking principles of a lot of these older offenses like Princeton Triangle, etc. I think the Princeton offense is starting to get more love now because with teams with good passing bigs like the Kings and like Denver, you're starting to see a lot more Princeton principles now. But like, I don't know if there's going to be like a whole new revolutionary offense that comes from something we've never seen before. I don't even know if that's going to be possible. I think it's just going to be adopting old philosophies and like updating them. Like Steve Kerr has triangle philosophies that he just updates and it's now forming a new offense. I don't know if that's
that's what he did with that offense. He just added to what they were doing.
So I don't know how much we're going to see something completely new versus something that's updated from past eras. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
I'm cooking up something right now.
Okay. You're Coach Ox, is that what I'm hearing?
The big Ox offense.
Mm-hmm. Nah, I'll be coaching for real, Morris. I mean, I don't coach like I coach like AAU, like high school and stuff.
So you're gonna revolutionize the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Morris.
Big Ox.
Hey, I'm cooking up a crazy offense right now, for real.
All you need to do is get with Mike Brown. He might be able to help you out. You help him out with his offense.
Get Mike D'Antoni to help you. Good coach right there. Get Mike D'Antoni.
Julius Irvin said, "Ron, I want my last super chat answered." LOL.
Is that the one we just answered?
Yeah, that was the one we just talked about with if these rings don't count.
Oh,
that's a good question, man.
Very good question.
Yeah, that's a damn good question. Why would people say that? I think all rings count. So I don't look at the fact that the Golden State Warriors, when KD got on that crew, that wouldn't happen. I think all rings count. So the Golden State Warriors, all of their rings count. So I completely disagree with people discounting their rings.
Yeah, take that down. Right?
All right, y'all. Back to the regularly scheduled. Get back to the regularly scheduled programming. Miles Ahead podcast said the Lakers played the weakest comp in the finals in NBA history. Warriors were the smarter team. Kobe gets too much credit for his IQ from copying MJ.
Everybody copies everybody. That's great. So we talk about Tex Winners and the triangle offense. I mean, that was copied. That wasn't something that was. I mean, the triangle offense. He did invent that. But you're talking about the weakest competition. Jason Kidd finished second in the league in MVP votes that year that they played them. So it wasn't like they went up against the Miami Heat. No, they didn't. And the same thing when they played against Philadelphia. I just ran down the crew. The coach of the year, the defensive player of the year, the league MVP, the sixth man of the year, and then against Indiana with both the Duncan Dutchman and both Dale Davis and both the Davis brothers with Reggie Miller. Those were damn good teams. That is not true. I hate when I hear that. I'm not going to go on the 10. I hate when I hear that nonsense about weak competition. That weak competition logic does not make sense, man. Why can't you just give credit to these teams that were a lot better than what you give them credit for?
Also, being able to copy Jordan, even if he did copy Jordan, I mean,
so
this is
not. There's a lot of
if everyone could copy Jordan, they would. I'm sorry, but
Mars, you ain't really that.
They're like Mars, you ain't really that.
Mars, you ain't really that smart because you learned from Einstein. What the hell? What kind of goofy ass logic is that? You copied Einstein, so you ain't really that smart.
That's perfect. But chill, Terrence, what you got to think about that. They say Kobe copied Jordan, but they act like Kobe was the only person that tried to copy Jordan. Like a lot of people tried to do that. He was just the only one that was good enough to do it.
They act like Jordan didn't copy people either.
Right. Jordan
shit was original.
Okay.
He made that shit up once in his driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, Dub, I forgot you was even there. Good work, Ox, waking Dub up.
That's a fact, bro. That's a fact.
Sorcerer said the 21 Nets versus the 13 Heat, ? I got the Nets in 7. They actually had a positive defense and were a buzzsaw offense. Would definitely be a Jeff Green game winner in 7.
So now y'all love Jeff.
Yeah, sorry, Steve Nash is coaching the 21 Nets. They're not winning, but they're not winning.
A semifinals team against an all-time great NBA team. No, they smoked the Nets.
Shout out Jeff Green though.
Yeah, doing the shout out Jeff Green.
TMF Willis said, y'all should pick 5 guys to save the world versus Wemby's team. Thank you, TMF. We did that. Trying to take over the world. And Ron, bruh, what is a T'Challa? An all-black fur coat?
Yeah, that was bad, Ron. That was bad.
It's an all-black panther. T'Challa.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually trying to clean that up, too. That must make it worse.
Yeah.
Me trying to clean it?
Yes, you're trying to clean that up.
Next super chat from Uncle Ruckus. He said, if Jordan doesn't retire for the first time, do the Bulls lose to the Rockets in the finals? Or better yet, do they even make it?
All I got to say is,
do they beat the Knicks in 94 with Jordan?
Yeah, I think they beat. I do think that they had the Knicks number. I do believe that they beat the Knicks, but the Rockets, on the other hand, in the words of Jordan, it's a good thing they can't ever get out of the West. Why is that, Mike? Because we got no answer for that monster that they got. I don't think we can beat them.
Yeah, I don't think they would have beat Houston.
No,
it would have been interesting to see if they would have got past Indy.
I'm not sure we can beat them, which is what he said. So, no.
Yeah, I just don't think they had the bigs to really match up, which is no disrespect to Mike. But I think for his legacy, his retirements were very conveniently timed. I'll say that.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Just like a lot of things that LeBron does is very convenient as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. That is not a one-way street, dog. That's a two-way street, brother. Yes, sir. That is a two-way street.
I do think people would look at MJ as more reachable for maybe not LeBron, but other players in history if they saw him lose once he started winning. But because once he started winning, he then retired at a time where Houston probably could have beat them. And then he comes back when Houston aren't really the same level of team. Then they get Dennis Rodman, and then they rattle off another 3. And then maybe in '99, with Scottie Pippen starting to taper off, MJ was 35. Maybe if they ran it back in '99, they might have lost that year. But you just never saw MJ lose once he started winning, so it makes him just seem more unattainable. Whereas if he stayed, they probably do lose sometimes, and people view him as less immortal.
I think that is a fact, but it is what it is. MJ's my GOAT.
Jersey Love said 14 Suns had 48 wins, I'm assuming, with Dragic, Green, Morris twins, and Bledsoe. Missed it because the Mavs had 50.
And by the way, I think Dragic made the All-NBA team that year. He didn't make the All-Star team.
Green who?
I think Gerald.
Gerald Green?
Gerald Green. Not Jeff Green. Not that Green.
I'm pretty sure Jeff Hornacek was the coach of the year that year. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was.
Which goes back to how terrible that Knicks franchise was, because he goes to the Knicks and he's out the league after coaching there. He's out the league. Give me a break, man. They were terrible as an organization at that point.
You don't think part of that is because he doesn't want to just be in the league anymore? You don't think he can pick up another job?
No.
So you think they ruined his resume?
Ron, that's like being with a chick and you broke up with this chick and it was good, but then you broke up with this chick. Now you don't want to date nobody because she just completely wrecked you. Like you don't want to be bothered with nobody.
So it's Hornacek. Like I don't want to coach anymore.
It'd be like that. It'd be like that sometimes.
I mean, he's in the league just as an assistant. I mean, that counts for something. Well, he was an assistant with us. I mean, he was selling
Warriors?
Houston. This year to Steven Silas. He was an assistant coach. But being behind Steven Silas, I mean,
that doesn't really say much.
Yeah, I mean, you should probably be ahead of Steven Silas, to be honest. But
Hood Star 61 said, hopefully we can see that tight playoff race.
What?
But I'm not sure with low man. Ain't no more low management, Hood Star, because again, we're talking about all NBA teams. You got to play a certain amount of games this year, so that affects money. So because these guys are going to play more, you're going to see more production. So keep that in mind. Because again, if you got guys not playing 65 games, in the words of Mars, I got to watch guys like Julius Randle make the All NBA team, and the elite guys are going to be held out.
It's a fact.
Honcho said, Chilltown, can you explain that LeBron was waiting for Kobe in 2013, but Kobe failed?
His Achilles.
Kobe's Achilles ruptured. What are you talking
Achilles
about?
failed. His Achilles failed.
Oh my God.
I mean, they weren't going to make the finals anyway. But his Achilles.
A couple people got triggered when I said that Kobe was waiting for Bron those years.
Yeah,
so they got a little triggered when I said that.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Certified Casual said, will we see the lack of true number ones in the league with the new NBA CBA or with the new CBA? A lot of good players, but not truly great ones.
That's not true, Certified. You know why that's not true? Because what you're going to see now is you're going to see teams developing their players more. And these guys are going to stay home more than they jump around because that's where the money is going to stay. And these guys aren't going to be leaving money on the table as much as they used to. And in the process of them not leaving money on the table as they used to, they're going to be developed by their crews. And you are going to see better players. A lot of homegrown talent more than you've seen before.
Nathan Kingsley said 2015 through 18 was the worst era for big man. No Jokic, no Embiid, no Freak. We are talking AD and Boogie, ? No one had skilled size to challenge them.
Well, Jokic and Embiid were there, to be fair. But yeah, AD and Boogie were the top two. And then they teamed up and everyone thought it was over for the NBA.
And then Boogie broke down.
Yeah, Boogie ruptured his Achilles, which was tough. Yep. But yeah, that is probably when DeAndre Jordan makes first team All NBA.
Without making an all-star team also. So guys like Jordan, Hassan Whiteside, Rudy Gobert. Ugh, it's getting tricky.
That says enough about the era of bigs.
It's getting tricky.
Shamari Small said, chill. Did you hear Rodman say if Larry Bird played in this era, he'd be in Europe?
Nothing wrong with being in Europe, man. It's nice over here.
It is beautiful in Europe, but to think that Larry Bird couldn't play in the NBA if he played today, but Luka is one of the 5 best players in the NBA. Give me a break.
Luka's better than Larry Bird, to be honest.
He has more skill.
No, he is not. Bird would be awesome in today's game simply off the fact of how much smarter he is than everybody else. I won't even go into his skills.
He reminds me of Jokic, but just smaller. Like a power forward version of Jokic.
Which is fair. I like that comparison. I do. But how smart he is, but how smart Bird is. These kids that come into the game today, who the majority of them, I'm on record saying that how many guys do I think don't know how to actually play basketball? I think Bird would destroy this league. Destroy it.
But y'all say he reminds you of Jokic, but he was, I'm not saying Bird, obviously I'm not saying Bird was like super fast or super quick or anything, but he was much quicker than Jokic though. You know what I'm saying? So for him to be small, yeah, he was quicker. He was much quicker than Jokic.
He was a better athlete than Jokic too.
Yeah, he was much quicker. I don't know if he was much quicker. I'm not gonna.
Okay, so if you're talking about like foot race, like from point A to point B, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about quickness, getting here to here.
I'm talking about foot race too. From point A to point B, I think Bird was fast.
Foot race, I think Bird is faster too.
I don't think he was much faster.
No, it was. It's like this, Mars.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Lord Omega Gandhi said Pop had Tony Parker running around screens and popping the mid-range shots. It's the same thing Kerr has Steph doing just behind the three-point line. Nathan Kingsley said no one is out small balling them. They never faced an all-time big unless you want to say young AD. They would have problems with Greek Freak and Joker.
Facts. Hey, fellas, I got to bounce. I will see you dudes tomorrow.
All right,
take it light. Yes, sir.
Easy.
Catch you in a little bit. You take it too, Chill Town. All right. Bowland with the super chat said random, but 2011 Bulls versus 2013 Pacers.
That's another great defensive series. I'd probably go with the Pacers, to be honest. But that's just because I think Derrick Rose's lack of an outside shot probably plays into Indiana's hands. And then Paul George is starting to ascend. So I'd probably go with the Pacers. I think it'll be a close 6-7 games, but I'll probably just lean the Pacers.
There's no way y'all in the chat saying Jokic is a better shooter than Larry Bird.
No one's saying that. They don't mean it.
Okay.
Khalil Young said, who wins, 2010 Lakers or the 2012 or 13 Heat?
Kobe would never lose to LeBron in the finals.
Facts.
I'm certain of that.
About time you stop trolling. That's what I'm talking about. You're growing up, Mars. You're growing up.
Thank you very much.
Right before our eyes.
Leaf Diggy said, Ron, cut the bullshit, bruh. Give me that motherfucking mic.
Oh, Leaf.
T-Wolf 2486 said, I want the Hawks to get Oscar.
I want the Hawks to figure out what they're doing with that franchise. That's what I want.
Figure out what they're doing with the franchise is hilarious.
You see that trade they just made?
No, what they do?
John Collins for Rudy Gay in the second round pick?
Oh, yeah, that trade is terrible.
Yeah, that trade's definitely terrible, for sure.
Well, Ron, what about that trade exception?
The trade exception? Yeah, so I mean, they did get a $25 million trade exception, but at the same time, I mean, they still have to find a trade. They still have to find a competent player that they want and a player of value. So I don't know. They definitely could have got more for John Collins, I believe, but I also do believe that John Collins is heavily overrated too. So I don't think he's gonna lose them too many more games by him not being there. But at the same time, it's like
y'all wasn't saying that in that run they had when he was dunking on Joel Embiid.
Yeah, that was like 5 years ago.
Wasn't
2
5
years.
Yeah, but that's the point I'm making though. It's like
I mean, so what didn't he get hurt or something? Have a down year? Like,
hey, we still talk about Giannis's ring. Why can't we talk about what John Collins did in that same person?
I don't think John Collins got worse. You know what I'm saying?
I think he did, bro.
I'm forgetting I'm talking to you. You caping for Trey. You caping for Trey. We can't admit that Trey Young was the problem over here.
Trey ain't got no help.
Yeah, I'm about to get on my free Trey very soon.
Shit, free Atlanta.
Matter of fact, I'm starting that campaign today. Free Trey.
Free the beautiful city of Atlanta.
Free the
last request. Could all superstars please get talent?
He out there.
Ishmael Haji said 2021 Curry.
Nah, you can't miss the playoffs and have one of the 5 best regular seasons of all time. It's impossible.
Ruger Red said Lenny Cook better than LeBron.
Not this guy again. Oh my god.
YSN Money said top 5 defensive guards 90s and 2000s.
Jason Kidd, Gary Payton, Eddie Jones, MJ,
Kobe,
Tayshaun Prince.
He's not a guard.
Tayshaun Prince,
he's not a guard.
I guess.
Tayshaun did play the 3. That's a guard.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I'm cooked.
It's a 3 guard or a 3 forward.
I call it a wing. It's a guard.
Yeah, someone in the chat took my answer. That's crazy. I was gonna go with Mookie Blaylock. That's crazy.
What was the question?
Top 5 defensive guards of the 90s and 2000s.
Oh.
And then someone said, no, thank you. Someone said Kawhi. I don't know what he's talking about.
He's not a guard.
He's not a guard. I'm cooked. He's not a guard.
Vince with the super chat said thoughts on McDonald's championship coming back.
That's dope. I like that. Actually.
What's that? They talking about the high school?
The All-American
game? It left?
Yeah. When did it go anywhere?
I'm out the loop, man.
I don't pay attention.
I don't remember the McDonald's All-American game, but he said McDonald's championship, not All-American game. So.
Maybe it's a tournament or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a casual when it comes to that stuff.
Huncho said, read my super chat, L host. Let's see if I read any more of your super chats. Tony Jean Claude said, let's not forget Jamal Murray better than Penny.
Facts.
Billy Zambitis said, "Would you rather Simons for Drew package as Blazers?"
If Milwaukee do that, oh my god. But even if I'm
I don't even like it for Portland.
No. Bad trade.
Khalil Young said Kobe also had his own game.
Yes, he did.
All right, y'all. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. It was another excellent episode of the panel. Y'all know where to find us tomorrow at the same exact time. It's something coming on right after this. I can't remember. I know it's something on the Players Choice Network coming on right after this. You guys make sure to stick around for that. Tune into that. Like the video, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. We'll see you later.
Peace.